Some are pure stellar universes, some built from 7 small worlds pressed together. Some split into the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and man. Some hold all heavens and myriad realms. And others are simply chaos worlds thick with chaos chi. With a stir of thought, I draw the heaven-opening artifacts back into the heavenly Tao space, to be nourished by the world origin. They are the heaven-opening sword, the great Tao jade disc, the chaos green lotus, and the creation cauldron. All the worlds are open, and my great Tao Dharma form is complete. So this is the perfect moment to break through to the Tao manifestation realm. My mind stirs, and the true force in my Dantian, or perhaps it should now be called world power, guides the strength fed back from the worlds and circulates it along my meridians. It flows through every acupuncture point and every inner world, tempering and nourishing all it passes. When it returns to the Dantian, the 129,600 inner worlds vibrate in unison and erupt with dazzling great Tao light. That light converges into a great Tao light cocoon that wraps around me layer upon layer. Great Tao runes flicker and flow across its surface, the world great Tao ceaselessly deriving the 3,000 laws, which merge back into it and cycle without end. Inside the cocoon, I am undergoing a transformation that remakes me from the ground up. Fortunately, I prepared ahead, and the 5 elements defense formation locks every strange phenomenon inside the cave. Little Yellow stands to the side, staring dumbfounded at the laws deriving endlessly across the cocoon. It wonders just how many great Tao laws its master has comprehended, whether I could possibly have grasped all 3,000. It decides I am far too monstrous. No wonder I could kill a spirit transformation realm expert while still in the Tao seed realm. It resolves to hurry and comprehend some of it itself, in the hope of perfecting its own devouring law. Time slips quietly by, and there is no telling how long passes. A thin crack opens on the great Tao light cocoon, and then it shatters inch by inch, turning to pure energy that my body drinks in whole. The moment I open my eyes, the 3,000 laws flash through them and vanish, at once resolving into a vast world reflected in my gaze. I sense the immense true force circulating my meridians and acupuncture points, tempering my physical body over and over, pushing it to evolve higher. Then I find I cannot fully unleash the power of the inner worlds, and it gives me a jolt. I deduce and analyze it quickly, and reach a conclusion. The inner worlds exist at once in my acupuncture points, and in the boundless chaos sea, so the power inside my body is only a fraction projected from them. More to the point, my physical body is still too weak to bear the force of all those inner worlds, though they sit only at the grotto heaven level. If I forced their power to erupt, my physical body would likely be blown apart on the spot. I decide then to keep strengthening my body, so I can one day loose even greater power. I stand, stretch, look over at Little Yellow, and ask how long I have been in seclusion. It nods quickly and tells me 2.5 years, then asks whether I have reached the Tao manifestation realm. Surprise flickers through me, since I had not expected this session to run so long, my longest seclusion since coming to the Chongnen realm. Still, the gains are huge. My Tao has taken its first true shape, and I have laid solid ground for becoming a real powerhouse. I have mastered 68% of the space-time realm now, not far from mastering it whole. I tell Little Yellow I have broken through to the middle stage of the Tao manifestation realm, and grasped the mysteries of the realm. Next, I can add the Tao manifestation realm cultivation techniques into the Tao seed martial arts system in the system store. With a plan set, I open the system and find messages from Sa Tong and Jian Dada waiting, both just greetings and reassurances that they are safe. I answer Sa Tong first, then write to John Dado that I am fine on my end, and ask whether Ye Rang gave him any trouble. John Dado replies quickly that Ye Rang never came for him, and that he is still working as a shop manager in the Nuung So Immortal Cultivation Market as usual. He adds that he is now at the Pika Foundation establishment and about to break through to the Golden Core realm, confident he can cultivate a 4-pattern Golden Core. I cannot work out why Ye Riang left him alone, since the man hardly seems the magnanimous sort. Still, I congratulate him in advance, and we trade a few more lines before closing the conversation. I use the law of destiny and the law of karma to scramble my own heavenly secrets and karma again, meaning to stay hidden a while longer. In the meantime, I want to upgrade and refine the divine abilities and martial skills I have mastered. I also want to use the 3,000 laws to reweave the fairness system and add some functions. Beyond that, I can begin experimenting with the artificial heavenly spirit root, since after this creation of worlds I have a fresh understanding of how a heavenly spiritual root might be made. With my mind made up, I tell Little Yellow it has worked hard and can go wander the surroundings, since a shallow seclusion needs no protector. I sit back down on the prayer mat, close my eyes, and send my divine sense into the Dantian world to observe. It is still frozen in the scene of a world just opened, desolate and barren, yet the innate spiritual energy is extraordinarily rich. The world's diameter has already reached 100 billion kilometers, and in the heavenly Tao space, a lake of world origin 10 kilometers across has pooled. The scale of the change stirs me, and when I investigate, I find nearly 100,000 years have passed inside the Dantian world. Its time flows nearly 50,000 times faster than the Changnan realm. That explains it, I realize, nodding to myself. No wonder the world changed so much in only 2.5 years. Even so, there is no telling how many hundreds of millions of years it would take for the world to give birth to life on its own. I could step in and create life myself, but my grasp of all things in heaven and earth is still shallow, and rushing it would only yield creatures with no potential. The idea of importing species from the outside I reject the instant it surfaces. Foreign life would infect the inner world with the Changnan realm and cost it its independence, choking off its potential, a thing I could never accept. I would rather spend the time letting the world evolve its own life than damage its potential. With my current lifespan of over 2,000 years, I have time to spare, and as my realm rises, my life will only lengthen. Even if I never broke through again and my lifespan ran dry, I could leave the Chang'an realm and go straight to the worlds I opened, gaining endless life there. But I have no intention of it. A newborn world holds no living beings, and being omniscient and omnipotent in an empty place would make for a life too dull to bear. Besides, staying in the Chang'an realm lets me comprehend its great Tao laws, which I can turn around and use to perfect the laws of my own inner worlds. Even now, I dare not enter an inner world with my own physical body. I fear that once it crossed in, I would lose the coordinate link to the Chang'an realm and never find my way back. I check the rest of the inner worlds and find much the same, each running nearly 50,000 times faster than the Chang'an realm. Then a thought stirs. A drop of world origin appears in my mouth, and I swallow it. The moment it hits my stomach, a surging mighty world origin energy erupts, and I circulate my true force at once to refine it. I use it to temper my physical body and soul, and it washes through me again and again, every cell cheering as it greedily drinks the energy in. A heaven and earth furnace forms around my body to seal the energy so none of it leaks. When the drop is refined, the change in me draws a flash of surprise across my face. I had not expected a stray inspiration to use world origin for cultivation to have effects this profound. It does not merely raise my aptitude and lift my very bone structure to a higher grade. It cleanses my marrow, reshapes my physique, and strengthens my soul. I had assumed that since the world sits inside my own body, its origin would do little for me, and I was completely wrong. It is not only effective, the effect is astonishing. And this is only the world origin of a grotto heaven-level world, weak in essence. If one day the world climbs to a small world, a great world, or even the major 1,000 worlds, then cultivating with its origin will be more astonishing still. After putting the Fairness System version 6.0 through its paces and finding no other anomaly, I take stock of it properly. Having created worlds 129,600 times, I am now thoroughly versed in wielding the great Tao laws. This version, woven from the 3,000 laws, is more exquisite than anything before it. Subtle enough that even an immortal might not fathom its workings. It carries a 10-fold jump in energy conversion efficiency and computing power over the last version, with every other function tuned up to match. Worth noting is that this update adds a function to delete a host's memories after the system unbinds, along with the spatial teleportation function. A system host can trigger spatial teleportation by spending energy points, and if the map marks an exact location, the teleport is precise. Without an exact location, only a rough teleport in a general direction is possible, with the energy point cost set by distance. The system store has added physical goods for sale, tied into the same spatial teleportation. Anything a host buys can be delivered straight to their storage space, or, if they have no storage space, dropped in front of them, the cost again scaled by distance. The addition lets the store's goods circulate fast and breaks through the old limits of geography. Once I finish testing it, I take out the origin system to prepare an upgrade, and I catch wisps of black chi coiling across its surface, which sends a jolt through me. I probe the black chi carefully, and faint, broken voices reach my ears. One wants more energy points to buy the next cultivation technique. Another begs the system to speed up its energy points so he can sell them, live well, and eat meat. Another simply pleads to be made stronger, and another wants energy points enough to break through his cultivation, hating to be looked down on. Astonishment fills my face, since these are plainly the voices of other system hosts, and I cannot fathom how they surfaced here. After a careful investigation, I find the black chi is negative energy. It is formed from the mental thoughts, soul power, and the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the system hosts, bound together with some mysterious power. Once I trace its source, I gasp, feeling both fear and relief in the same breath. Fortunately, I cut the direct link between the system and myself back then and turned it into the origin system, or the trouble now would be enormous. This negative energy is something I never foresaw. It never arose before, most likely because the system hosts were too few, but their number has now crossed 1 trillion and keeps climbing. Even so, the system still covers only 1/10 of the eastern wilderness, a sliver against the whole eastern region, let alone the entire Azure Firmament continent. If the count of hosts keeps rising, I fear this negative energy could swell into a monstrous hidden danger, eroding the origin system. If that happens, the system could be ruined and the hosts themselves contaminated. The thought makes my scalp prickle, and for a moment I have no idea what to do. I send my divine sense back into the origin system and, through it, watch a thread of negative energy coil around each subsystem as well. Fortunately, the negative energy is steadily gathering onto the origin system through its links to the subsystems, rather than piling up on the subsystems themselves. Seeing that, I breathe easier. If it were accumulating on the subsystems instead, it would be far harder to handle. I try to clear it with the laws of purification and desire, and it works, but the efficiency is dismal. I cannot tell whether that is because my mastery of the Great Tao laws sits only at the grotto heaven level, or because of the mysterious force woven into the negative energy itself. There is no better method for now, but I am firmly convinced this negative energy is not unsolvable. Once my Great Tao laws rank higher, I may clear it with ease, and I can also try to craft a method of purification. For the moment, with no thorough solution in hand, I can only grind the negative energy away by my own hand, which treats the symptom and not the root. As the hosts multiply, the negative energy will only grow, perhaps past the point where I can grind it at all. Since the system binds to the soul, the birth of such negative energy is all but unavoidable. To unbind and destroy the system, though, is something I simply cannot accept. The system does more than stockpile the energy my cultivation needs, and serve as a second brain. It is bound up with my first goal, to drag the cultivators and the powerful down off their high horses. Lose the system, and that goal falls apart, along with any hope of changing this world. The goal may sound a little absurd, yet by now it has become close to an obsession. If I abandon it, my thoughts will never be clear, which would harm my cultivation, and could even breed a heart demon. I have the means to do it, so why not try, when if I lacked the means I could simply go with the flow? Who does not carry some dream of changing the world, and for now at least, the system is nothing but a benefit to me. There has to be a way to dissolve that negative energy, I just have not found it yet. I breathe out a long, turbid breath, raise my hand, and cast the great yin-yang annihilation divine light. The light forms a yin-yang millstone, the yin and yang chi alternating and turning, the power of destruction quietly germinating between them. The negative energy is decomposed and scattered under its grinding wisp after wisp, until the very last strand is gone. Without hesitation, I push the Fairness System version 6.0 out to every system host. With that done, I decide not to plunge straight back into closed-door cultivation and take a short break instead, balancing work with rest. I step out of the cave, the mountain breeze brushes my face, the bird song runs crisp through the forest, and the fresh breath of the wild rushes at me. My whole body loosens at once, the tension of long seclusion easing out of me. Then Little Yellow's voice reaches me, calling for me to come quickly and save a little girl who is not going to make it. I turn toward the sound at once and see Little Yellow running hard with a girl of about 7 or 8 held in its mouth. Her clothes are in tatters, her face is sallow and thin, her hair is dry and yellow. She is still bleeding, one leg is broken, and she has long since slipped into a coma. I flash over in an instant, appear before Little Yellow, and take the girl into my arms. A quick check tells me she is only unconscious from heavy blood loss. I lay her flat on the ground, take hold of her broken leg and reconnect it. She groans faintly in her sleep. I cast the heaven and earth creation technique, and a green energy settles over her, and in a moment her injuries mend as though they were never there and color floods back into her face. She stirs, opens her eyes, looks up at me, and asks with wide curiosity whether this is the underworld. The question startles me for a beat, and then I smile and tell her this is still the living world, that she did not die, and that Little Yellow saved her. She stares blankly for a moment, and then joy breaks across her face. She marvels that she really is alive, that after falling from such a height she had thought she would never see her brother again. She struggles up to her feet and turns to thank Little Yellow for saving her. Little Yellow squints and chuckles that she is welcome, but that it only carried her to its master, and I am the one who truly saved her. Hearing Little Yellow speak, the girl is only mildly startled, and instead of shrieking that it is a monster, curiosity lights her eyes. She exclaims that Little Yellow can talk, decides that means her big brother must be a divine messenger, and thanks me for saving her life. I raise an eyebrow at the title and explain with a light chuckle that there is no need for such courtesy. I am only a martial artist and no divine messenger. Then I ask her name, whether she has any family left, and why she went into the mountains alone. The girl's face dims. She tells me her name is Baek Cheonchan, that her parents died long ago and only her brother remains. Some time ago, though, her brother too was chosen by the divine messenger and went to the temple to become one. Her brother told her that once he is a divine messenger, they will finally have enough to eat and never go hungry again. She went into the mountains to dig wild vegetables and stepped into empty air, nearly falling to her death, and only Little Yellow saved her. As she finishes, her stomach lets out a long, hollow growl. I sigh softly, pity welling up in me. There are truly too many suffering people in this world, more than anyone could count. Though I was a working laborer in my past life and my days were far from rich, I could at least eat my fill, even eat meat. Set against the people here, that was heaven against earth. They eat grass and swallow dirt, generation after generation, without a single glimmer of change on the horizon. It was exactly this kind of shocking suffering that struck my view of the world when I first awakened. It gave me the notion of pulling those lofty cultivators and powers down from their pedestals. Now, across the regions the system covers, high-yield food crops have spread and the breeding of livestock keeps improving. The common people's basic needs are met, and some can even cultivate the martial Tao. It is not wealth exactly, but it is more than 100 times better than before. That is precisely why, even after finding the origin system eroded by negative energy, I still insist on keeping it, because it has genuinely changed these people's fate. The spread of the system has been anything but smooth, running into no end of obstruction inside the various countries. But for the many system hosts who have reached the Tao Seed realm, the barriers of the mortal world are not worth mentioning. Driven by the rewards of system tasks, those who stood in the way were wiped out one after another. Heads rolled, and the corpses piled up like hills. I tell Baek Cheonchan that we happen not to have eaten yet either, and invite her to eat with us. She shakes her head and refuses, saying she will just eat when she gets home, that I already saved her and she does not even know how to thank me yet. Little Yellow raises its front paws, gently nudges her along, and coaxes her not to stand on ceremony with its master, since this bit of food is nothing. Her stomach growls again, she hesitates a moment, and then she comes over. I take out the delicacies I bought earlier from various great restaurants and lay them out from my storage space, meaning to treat us all well. Looking at the loaded table, Baek Cheonchan cannot stop swallowing. And after Little Yellow and I press her a few more times, she finally picks up a bowl and chopsticks. After the meal, I glance at the sky and tell Little Yellow it is getting late and the road is not safe, so it should take Cheonchan home. It nods in agreement. Baek Cheonchan thanks me for the food, her thin face full of gratitude, and tells me it is the most delicious meal she has ever eaten in her life. I nod slightly and watch the two of them go. A long while later, Little Yellow returns to report that Cheonchan is home safe. It says their village is desperately poor, poorer and more bitter even than the villages of Jin State used to be. Nothing like Jin State today. It asks why we do not simply spread the system there. I think it over, but I still shake my head and tell it I have a premonition the timing is wrong, that the moment is not yet ripe. I add, though, that we can pass down the body forging foundation establishment method and the old farmer's art. Then I toss Little Yellow a jade bottle holding diluted world origin divine liquid. I warn it the divine liquid can cleanse the marrow and lift its cultivation aptitude, but it must not drink too much, only a small sip at a time. If it swells up and bursts, it can hardly blame me for not warning it. Little Yellow catches the bottle, delight all over its face, and asks where I found such a wonderful thing. Before the words are even out, it impatiently pops the bottle open and cautiously swallows a small sip. The moment the diluted world origin goes down, it flops onto the ground and runs its cultivation technique to refine it, a faint yellow halo rising around its body. I glance over, see nothing amiss, and open the system interface to check the system store. By now, medicinal pills, spirit medicine, magic treasures, and high-yield food crop seeds have all been added to the store. I idly click over to the forum to skim the comments on the system update. The mood there is bright and grateful. Hosts are thrilled that spatial teleportation will spare them endless days wasted on the road. They can promote the system faster, buy food crop seeds to grow more grain, and sell their goods across the whole world. One host sums it up by pointing out that even the auto-generated energy points have risen with this update. A handful only grumble that spatial teleportation is too expensive to use, and there is not a single report of a functional problem. I exit the forum and open the Trial Tower interface. I still sit at the top of the Dao Seed Realm combat power ranking. Satong, So Songan, So Wang, Wen Hengeop, Mangji Heop, So Wandang, and other names I know all sit inside the top 1,000. The Dao Seed Realm combat power ranking is entirely dominated by cultivators of the Dao Seed martial arts system now. Even on the combat power rankings of the other realms, cultivators of this system make up more than 90%, the rest being people of the immortal cultivation system. On top of the 100 gatekeepers I fabricated at the start, 150 new ones have been added to the Trial Tower. Since I have only just broken through to the Dao Manifestation realm, I want to use the Trial Tower to sharpen my combat and get used to the new realm. I do not start from the first floor though. I go straight to the 3000th floor and have the tower conjure a mirror image Yu-Il to fight, since the gatekeepers on the other floors no longer train me. I battle the mirror image Yu-Il fiercely across a constantly shifting field, and in the repeated collisions I catch my own weaknesses and polish myself again and again. After 50,000 exchanges with the mirror image Yu-Il, I finally beat it. Fighting yourself really is the surest way to find your own flaws, since defeating yourself is so often the hardest thing of all. After confirming the system runs normally, I exit it. By now Little Yellow has finished digesting the divine liquid. Its aura surges all at once, and it breaks through to the late stage of the Dao Seed realm. It crows that it is a genius dog indeed to have broken through this fast. It sneers that John Dotto was strutting about his own breakthrough to the Golden Core realm, and that anyone who dreams of surpassing it can keep dreaming. Little Yellow stands there in a pair of big floral pants, paws on its hips, shouting arrogantly to the sky. I hear it, and bring my hand down flat on its dog head. I ask it what genius dog, and whether it would have reached the late stage of the Dao Seed realm at all, without the bottle of divine liquid I just handed it. It yelps and shrinks its neck, then flings itself at my leg and hugs my thigh, tail thumping like a rattle drum. It fawns that its breakthrough is entirely thanks to the divine liquid its master bestowed. All of it my credit. I can only slap my own forehead, speechless. Ever since it watched John Dotto pull the thigh-hugging move, it has trotted out the same trick every single time it makes trouble, and I genuinely have no way to deal with it. 2 years slip past me the way overtime used to, without ceremony and without mercy. I spend them sealed away in cultivation. In the same stretch, I deduce and perfect every last cultivation technique inside the Dao Seed martial arts cultivation system, carrying the system store's offerings all the way up to the Dao Manifestation realm. The moment I upload that Dao Manifestation realm technique, it detonates across the cultivation world. The cultivators studying my Dao Seed martial arts system go wild with joy. The ones who already forced their way into the Dao Seed realm finally breathe out, since they had been fretting that there was nothing left to learn. I gave them a ladder that never ends, and they love me for it. In those same 2 years, I sharpened my own divine ability and martial skill. I hone my edge by sparring against a mirror image of myself until neither of us can land a cheap hit. I also digest what I glimpsed in the creation of a world, and out of that come 2 new divine abilities. The heaven-splitting divine ability is the strongest offensive art I own now. It fires clean whether I hold a blade, a sword, or nothing but my bare hands. The world in the palm I built by copying an old memory from my past life, the Buddha kingdom cupped in a single hand. It traps an enemy inside a small world, derives attack after attack, and can crush a man under the weight of a whole world. Right now, I am fixed on the cauldron of creation in front of me, hands weaving one incantation after another. 8 streaks of spiritual light come spilling out of the cauldron, and I gather them into my palm. I turn them over, study them for a breath, then slap one thread of red light straight into my own body. I close my eyes to feel it settle. Then I snap them open and laugh out loud, unable to stop myself. The artificial heavenly spirit root is finally finished. 3,000 failed experiments. And on this run, it takes. From this day forward, anyone born with garbage aptitude can carry the talent of a heavenly spiritual root. That means I can seed descent straight into the cultivation forces, and watch how they plan to keep resisting the system. Some of them might even flip and become loyal system hosts, grinding for energy points like their lives depend on it. The first version of this thing was clumsy. My original idea was to refine organs out of heaven and earth, spiritual chi materials, then implant them into the body. But the spiritual chi in the air is thin these days and the raw materials are painfully scarce. When I switched to matching attribute substitutes, the results still came out weak. The refined spiritual roots were low quality, the implant surgery was a nightmare, and I could only ever make a handful at a time. Any real mass production would have swallowed an obscene amount of materials. So that road was closed. So I flipped the whole approach and used heaven and earth spiritual chi itself as the raw stock, drawing on the attributes already floating between heaven and earth. That solved the materials problem outright, but it traded one wall for another. The refining difficulty turned monstrous. Only when I thought to weave the laws of each attribute into the process did the barrier finally give. 3,000 attempts later, the perfect artificial heavenly spirit root sits in my hand. Its resonance with heaven and earth, spiritual chi, is no worse than a natural heavenly spiritual root. And honestly, it is better, because I laced it with great Tao laws. Best of all, the root is made of spiritual chi, so implanting it is trivial. You simply treat it as heaven and earth spiritual chi and inhale it into your body. Pair that with the enlightenment space, the storage space, and spatial teleportation, and the cultivation forces will fight the system far less than they do now. My fairness system gets to ride that opening and slither deeper into their schools. I am certain that once they taste it, none of them will ever hand it back. The cultivators who stumbled onto it already bound themselves and turned into loyal hosts. Once the old forces get their hands on it, plenty of them will start selling their own secret manuals to the system store, just to earn energy points. That funnels a mountain of secret manuals straight to me. I can use them to refine the Tao Seed martial arts system further, or to chew through the truths of the great Tao and realize new laws. Either way, I win. Then I frown, because for the moment I still have to refine every artificial heavenly spirit root by hand. I can turn out a decent batch at once, but if I keep this up, I will become a machine whose entire purpose is stamping out heavenly spiritual roots. I also need to cultivate myself. Burning my hours on manual labor like this only drags my own progress backward. That is the exact trap I clawed out of once already, and I refuse to build myself a new one. While I chew on it, inspiration lands like a thrown brick and my eyes light up. I can use machines. I can copy the assembly line model from the factories of my past life and mass-produce heavenly spiritual roots on a conveyor belt. Better still, I do not even need machines, because a formation can do the refining directly. I hook my divine sense into the subsystem computing power matrix and start deducing the method. A long while later, I open my eyes. Great Tao runes flashing through them and gone in the same instant, a smile already on my face. With a nudge of my mind, I carve out a space inside the origin system as my refining floor. As the spiritual light flows, 4 formations settle into place. The first splits heaven and earth, spiritual chi apart into its separate attributes. The second tempers that spiritual chi until it runs pure. The third packs the pure spiritual chi into a neat block, 3 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide, and 10 centimeters tall, the ideal shape for stamping laws into. The fourth works like a precision printer, pressing the matching great Tao laws straight onto that block. The moment I feed heaven and earth spiritual chi into the first formation, the fire attribute strand peels off and pours into the second. The tempering leaves it purer still. Then the third shapes it into a block, and the fourth brands it with the law of fire. A fire spiritual root drops out the far end. Complete. I call it into my hand, look it over, then slap it into my body and feel it carefully. When my eyes open again, satisfaction ripples across my whole face. It works. A full assembly line spitting out heavenly spiritual roots. I really am a genius. After that, I set up the formations for the other 7 attributes and refine each matching root. I test every one until I am certain the conveyor method holds. A single line produces 100 heavenly spiritual roots an hour. 8 attributes means 8 lines, 800 an hour, which comes out to 9,600 in a single day. That is more than enough, and if demand ever spikes, I just bolt on a few more lines. The only question left is the price. I think it over and set each artificial heavenly spirit root at a mere 1 million energy points, barely above cost. I am pricing it this low on purpose, because the point is to plant dissent inside the cultivation forces. Anyone born with weak aptitude will not think twice about buying one to install, and even the smug heavenly spiritual root crowd will pick one up for a friend. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and every gain has its price. I upload the artificial heavenly spirit root to the system store, pack away the cauldron of creation, and turn to walk out of the cave. Right then, Little Yellow's voice comes ripping through, frantic, telling me something has gone wrong. My chest tightens, because I have no idea what could rattle it like that, and I flash to the mouth of the cave. Little Yellow and Baked Qianqian are sprinting toward me. Slung across Baked Qianqian's back is a corpse. I ask what happened, brows knitting at the strange sight of the two of them together. Little Yellow shifts uneasily and explains in a low voice. It went to Baked Qianqian's house looking for her, and walked straight into her brother's corpse being handed back by two envoys, who called themselves messengers of the Temple of Light. It followed them out of pure curiosity, but the pair took one look at it and moved to seize it on sight. With no choice, it fought back and killed them both, then dragged Baked Qianqian and her brother's body back here. I waved the worry off. If they had the nerve to try to capture it, then killing them was the right call. I only warned it not to go hunting for trouble, and that was never the same as being afraid of it. Then I ask whether there is anything else it is keeping from me. Little Yellow shakes its head fast, guilt all over its face, saying there truly is nothing. It just feels it dragged Chanchan into this and cost her the ability to ever go home. Beside us, Baked Qianqian lowers her brother's body to the ground with both hands. Her face is streaked with dried tears, and her eyes are red as she looks at me. She calls me Big Brother and confirms everything, that the envoys tried to seize it the instant they saw it, and it only killed them to save itself. Then she tells me Little Yellow says my strength reaches the heavens. She begs me to look at her brother and tell her whether there is any hope of bringing him back. Listening to the two of them, I believe every word. I examine the corpse. The eyes are frozen wide, the face twisted in pain, and the man died long ago, his very soul already scattered. Then something about the manner of his death snags at me, and I look closer, murmuring that so this is how it is. I turn to Baked Qianqian and tell her plainly. Her brother has been dead a long time, his soul has dissipated, and there is genuinely no way to revive him. But while inspecting the body, I found his cause of death to be deeply unnatural. The word hits her, and fresh tears spill down her cheeks. Through the sobs, she asks me how her brother really died, since the envoys claimed it was chi deviation while cultivating. I glance at the corpse again and shake my head. Someone tore his spiritual root out of him by force using the spirit-seizing great method, and he died in agony. I explain that the evil technique carries harsh limits. It can only be worked by a cultivator who has reached the chi refining realm with an activated spiritual root. While the root is being ripped free, the victim feels every nerve sliced by 1,000 knives until the pain alone kills him. Her face goes white. Then she asks whether her brother was truly murdered, tortured to death so someone could steal his spiritual root. Her hands clench until the knuckles bleed of color. A monstrous hatred kindles in her eyes, and she swears she will make them pay in blood. Then she wheels around and drops to her knees before me with a heavy thud. Her voice shakes, but it is iron underneath. She begs me to take her as my disciple and teach her martial arts, so she can grow strong enough to avenge her brother, and maybe, one day, bring him back. Something stirs in me listening to her, an odd sense that I have seen this exact scene before. And then it clicks. This is the classic protagonist mode. Family cut down, a vow to master martial arts for revenge. And on top of that, she already carries frightening martial aptitude, having reached the innate realm. A golden light flickers quietly through my eyes as I slip into my chi-observing technique and read her. The golden luck coiling around her runs like a river with no end, faintly showing the signs of a coming surge into the heavens. Good grief, the luck on this girl is so dense it nearly blinds me. Baked Qianqian really is a child of destiny. No wonder Little Yellow rescued her after she was hurt last time, and carried her back to me. No wonder she already picked up the body forging foundation establishment method and the old farmer's art, and laid herself a rock-solid foundation. Which means, apparently, that I have become the legendary old mentor. Her brother is dead, she has officially entered protagonist mode, and fate is once again shoving me into the role of the grizzled master. Well, it costs me nothing to stay on her good side. I will just call it an early investment. 100 thoughts race through me, and then I wave my hand and help the kneeling girl to her feet. I tell her I do not intend to take a disciple for now, but that I have a system seed I can give her. Once she binds it, she will be able to learn skills straight from it. As I speak, I redeem a system seed and press it into her hands. Disappointment flickers in her eyes at the word about no disciple. Then it burns away the moment she hears she can learn from the system. She snatches the seed and binds it on the spot. Guided by the system's own navigation, she explores it. As the mall of cultivation techniques in the enlightenment space open before her, her mouth parts in awe at how astonishing the thing is. Once she has found her footing, I tell her we should add each other on the system messenger. She answers softly and does. I transfer 100 million energy points over to her as startup capital. It is enough to run the system's functions. by cultivation techniques, and feed the growth of a child of destiny. I tell her I have sent 100 million energy points to her account and that she can spend them on cultivation techniques or on features like the Enlightenment space. She balks, shocked, refusing outright and saying, 100 million is far too much to accept. She bound the system only moments ago and already grasps how precious energy points are, and a figure that large is genuinely staggering to her. I wave it away and tell her to keep it. It is a drop in the bucket for me and a fortune for her. She will need it to buy the techniques that let her master martial arts, avenge her brother, and maybe even find the road back to his life. Hesitation crosses her face, then hardens into resolve. She thanks me and vows to pay me back once she has earned enough. After a pause, she cannot help asking whether I actually know how to bring her brother back. I smile a little and decide to hand her the most reliable and most impossible method there is, precisely to give her something to climb toward. The surest way, I tell her, is to cultivate until you can reverse the river of time and fish a person out of it. But the method demands cultivation strong enough to survive the backlash. Anyone too weak fails to save the person and dies from the recoil instead. She thanks me for telling her, determination settling into her features, and promises she will train hard and grow strong enough to do it. I tell her to work hard then, that I will be staying here a while, and she is welcome to stay with us. Then I turn toward the cave. Little Yellow bounds up beside her, tail wagging, delighted that she has finally bound the system, and offers to answer any cultivation question she ever has. She thanks it, and says she will come to it whenever she is stuck. Then she spends a few energy points to open her system storage space and lays her brother's body carefully inside. 3 days later, I finish cultivating and open the system for him, curious how the artificial heavenly spirit root landed now that it has had time to breathe. The comment feed is a flood, and the mood swings hard between two camps. The buyers are ecstatic. One of them crows that a single day on the artificial heavenly spirit root vaulted him straight to the 9th level of chi refining. It is faster than his old 3 spiritual roots ever managed, practically like flying on a sword. Another confirms there are no side effects, and that you really do just inhale it like spiritual chi. Under that runs a rising current of class resentment. The have-nots gloat that the heavenly spiritual root snobs can finally stop holding their noses in the air. They bitterly ask why those born lucky get to skip the spiritual key conversion formation, while everyone else labors like oxen. The snobs sneer right back that an artificial root will never match an innate heavenly spiritual root, and tell the upstarts to keep dreaming. The upstarts promise to prove them wrong. I scroll through the reactions and nod, satisfied. The artificial heavenly spirit root is working cleanly with no abnormalities surfacing yet. More importantly, a genuine line of opposition has already sketched itself between the artificial buyers and the innate heavenly spiritual root holders. Splitting the cultivation forces from the inside is starting to look truly workable. How far the fracture spreads I cannot tell yet, so I leave it to time. Inside the Dantean world, I fuse my divine sense with the heavenly Tao and feel out the whole of my creation. The world's diameter has reached 300 billion kilometers by now. It is still a barren place, but a faint vitality is quietly brewing beneath the desolation. Deep in the netherworld, the 6 paths reincarnation disk turns slowly, though no souls have entered reincarnation yet. The world now holds more than 4,300 perfected great Tao laws, over 1,000 more than when I first made it. Some I comprehended by my own hand, and far more were born naturally as the world runs, all of them more refined than at the beginning. The accumulated world origin has pooled into a lake roughly 100 kilometers across. By now, the Dantean world has met the requirements to advance into a small world, yet I hold off. I can feel that it has not reached the ceiling of a grotto heaven world, that it still has room to grow, so I decide to let it develop to its absolute limit before I push it up, laying a firmer foundation for what comes after. I turn my gaze to the boundless chaos sea beyond the world's edge, a gray expanse where restless chaos chi keeps slapping against the crystal wall of my world. With a flick of thought, I project the 365 main stars, the 129,600 auxiliary stars, and the billions of lesser stars outward as phantoms of star power. The moment those projections touch the chaos outside, the violent chaos chi swallows and annihilates them whole. The result does not surprise me. In the next breath, all the star phantoms rearrange themselves along a hidden trajectory and lock into a chaos heavenly cycle star formation. I built it off the inspiration I stole from the school's spiritual chi conversion formation, married to the formations recorded in the system store, and the principle of a world-absorbing chaos chi. Its whole purpose is to help the Dantean world devour and refine chaos chi faster. pile up world origin quicker, and steal the foundation for the leap to come. But the moment the formation forms, it endures the chaos chi for only 3 more breaths, before it is crushed to nothing. I start deducing at once off the data I just bought with that failure. Before long, the new version reassembles and holds for 10 breaths before it too is wiped out. I analyze and deduce and run it again. After more than 1,000 repetitions, the latest Chaos Heavenly Cycle star formation trembles violently under the Chaos Chi, yet no longer shatters on contact. After grinding at it that long, I finally have it, and I really am a genius. I pour World Origin into every star phantom, hardening them from projections into solid bodies, and the formation erupts with brilliant star power. It instantly suppresses and refines the surrounding Chaos Chi into World Origin, and the rate of conversion jumps tenfold. The World Origin I had burned to 0 starts climbing fast again. Once I confirm the formation runs stable, I turn my attention back to the multiverse where the Changnan realm sits. That multiverse is still vast beyond measure, and next to it my Dantian world is a speck of dust. Even so, that mighty multiverse gives off a faint evil aura along its far side. I do not understand what has gone wrong inside it, so I slowly steer the Dantian world away from it. If the multiverse ever fails to withstand whatever evil is festering there, my inner world has to become my final refuge. Then I withdraw from the merger with the Heavenly Tao and set out through my other inner worlds. In each of them I plant the Chaos Heavenly Cycle star formation. Their development sits about where the Dantian worlds does, and once the formations are seeded, I drive every one of these inner worlds away from the multiverse as well. My eyes open and the gaze that comes out is cold and merciless, aloof as the Heavenly Tao itself. Deep in my pupils, countless worlds are being born and dying, and the evolving trajectories of the 3,000 great Daos flow on without end. My whole aura runs just as cold, carrying the crushing majesty of the Heavenly Tao. Then, in a blink, I snap back to myself, and a thread of lingering fear crawls across my face. I did not expect that fusing with the Heavenly Tao for too long would nearly bleed into my heart nature and turn me into something indifferent and pitiless. If I became a man stripped of all feeling and desire, then what would be the point of living when I would be little more than a walking corpse? It seems that unless there is real need, I had better fuse with the Heavenly Tao far less. The pull on my heart nature is too strong, and I cannot say for certain I would still be me on the other side. I quiet my breathing for a while, and the cold, aloof aura finally drains away and leaves me looking like myself again. I let out a soft sigh and admit my state of mind is still not solid enough, that I will have to temper it going forward. Then I get up and walk out of the closed-door chamber. Neither Little Yellow nor Big Qianshan is in the cave, so I head straight outside. The instant I step out, I find Little Yellow sprawled across a rocking chair, sunbathing while it watches Big Qianshan throw her punches. She is a wholly different person from the girl of 3 months ago. Her complexion glows rosy, her dark hair spills to her waist, her posture is graceful and upright, and her cultivation has already climbed to the peak of the innate realm. Little Yellow notices me and calls out that I have finished my seclusion. Then it marvels that Big Qianshan's progress is too fast, and her comprehension ability is frightening, that it can already see a shade of my bearing in her. It admits it thought it could coach her with its own Tao Seed Realm cultivation, only to get stumped by her questions and have to sit and puzzle over them. Then it asks me, deadpan, whether the gap between humans and dogs really has to be this wide. I tell it that when Bake Cheonchin trains this hard while it lies there roasting in the sun, of course the gap is wide, and I flick it lightly on the dog head. It mutters, unconvinced, that it is no cultivation fanatic like me, that life is beautiful and not only about grinding technique. I tease that it has some nerve dressing up laziness like that, and warn it to be careful, or it will end up in a dog meat stew if it keeps slacking. It springs up and rubs shamelessly against my trouser leg, declaring it wants to stay at my side forever, since no one can touch it while I am here. Lazy little thing. I shake my head, genuinely without any way to handle this rascal. Bake Shanshan finishes her set and, seeing me out of seclusion, smiles and greets me. I praise her first, telling her the cultivation has come along fast. Then I add a caution. She must stay steady and solid, not chase realm breakthroughs so hard that she neglects her foundation. Only a firm foundation lets her strike at higher realms later. She nods again and again, taking it seriously, and I let a gratified smile show, as expected of a child of destiny. High comprehension, willing to bleed sweat, and obedient on top of it, the kind of student who leaves you nothing to worry about. Unlike a certain mischievous dog with no ambition in its whole body, I take out a jade bottle of diluted World Origin Divine Liquid and hand it to her. The liquid inside can wash her marrow, refine her bones, and lift her aptitude. But she must only ever sip a small amount at a time, because the energy is so surging that a careless mouthful would blow her body apart. She waves it off, saying I have already helped her far too much, and she cannot keep taking my thanks. I press it on her, telling her that with this liquid her road of cultivation will run far smoother. Only then does she accept the bottle, her eyes reddening as she thanks me and swears to repay me well someday. My smile deepens, and to my own mild surprise, I actually find myself looking forward to what a child of destiny's repayment might bring. Then I remember the diluted world origin divine liquid would do John Dotto some good too, so I decide to spare him a share. I open the system messenger and ask old John whether he is around, saying I have something good for him. He fires back in seconds, thrilled that I am out of seclusion and demanding to know what the good stuff is. I tell him I got hold of some divine liquid that can raise cultivation aptitude, with the same warning to sip only a little or the violent energy will burst his body. Then I send the bottle straight to him as a gift packet through the messenger. He receives it instantly and follows with a joke animation of a man clinging to a rich patron's leg and hollering for grandpa. Then he asks how I always managed to scrounge up so many treasures and whether I might secretly be the legendary child of destiny. I roll my eyes, since the real child of destiny is standing about 10 paces away from me. I ask him whether he has ever seen a child of destiny who failed to reach foundation establishment after more than 100 years. That one got booted out of the sect and nearly died of old age. He sends back an animation of somebody laughing so hard they slap the floor. Then he suggests that maybe heaven kicked me out of the Heavenly Revelation sect precisely so the legendary child of destiny life could begin. Then he switches to his own good news. Since the system store started selling artificial heavenly spirit roots, he bought a metal one, and his cultivation speed is flying now. His golden core quality has already broken through to 5 patterns, with a real shot at 6 patterns down the line. He gushes that he has no idea who created the artificial heavenly spirit root, only that they must be a peerless genius. If he had a portrait of them, he says, he would enshrine it and worship it daily, praying for their blessing on his immortal ascension. A strange smile crosses my face at that. I tell him the divine liquid I just sent should also refine golden core quality, so he ought to try tempering his core with it. He lights up, saying that if he can push his golden core higher, he will dare call himself a peerless genius, and that trampling those heavenly spiritual root geniuses would be sweeter still. Then he caps it with another laughing animation. We trade a few more lines and end the chat. Half a month later, I am stretched out on a rocking chair soaking up the sun, with Little Yellow beside me copying my exact pose on another chair. Not far off, Bake Chon-chon is locked into her martial practice. Since taking the divine liquid, she has not only broken through to the divine sea realm, her foundation has come out exceptionally solid. I remind her to balance effort with rest, not to stay wound tight every hour, because the efficiency is higher that way. She answers softly that she knows, big brother, but her hands never pause, and her focus never breaks. I shake my head, forced to admit I am no match for this girl's raw drive to cultivate. Then I glance sideways at Little Yellow with pure disdain and sigh again. Because when you set the two side by side, you just want to throw the worst one away. It catches my look, shrinks its head, and turns its back on me. Its whole face swears it saw nothing and would not dare meet my eye. I clench and unclench my fists, seriously tempted to pick the little beast up and give it a proper thrashing. Then surprise flashes through me, and my gaze snaps down to the forest below. 5 figures in gold and red divine robes are crouched in the shadows, spying on us. The attire is the same as the cultists who called themselves divine envoys of the divine kingdom, back in the secret realm of creation. So this is the so-called territory of the divine kingdom. If it is, then the murderer who killed Bake Chon-chon's brother and the Temple of Light envoys Little Yellow finished off before all belonged to the same force as these cultists. The troublesome physique of a child of destiny truly is a terror, stirring up storms no matter where she hides. Even buried deep in these old mountains, trouble tracks her down. This child of destiny is genuinely frightening. I look down at the 5 Temple of Light cultivators, all sitting at the Foundation Establishment realm, and I close my hand on empty air. They have no power to resist. Their cultivation seals instantly. An invisible force hoists them out of the forest, and then it slams them flat onto the ground. Bake Chon-chon recognizes the robes, and hatred flares in her eyes as she names them Temple of Light envoys who have finally found us. Little Yellow hops off its chair, glares at the group, and gripes that these ones have sharp noses, sniffing us out even up here. The 5 envoys are dazed from the fall, and when they look up and see me, The fear on their faces flips almost at once into bluster. They call me an audacious sinner for daring to seize them, brand themselves envoys of the Temple of Light, and demand I release them or face divine punishment. They warn I will die without a grave and accuse me of harboring the murderer of their envoys, as though my sins were monstrous. Disgust flickers through me. This bunch of cultists has been arrogant so long they cannot read the situation staring them in the face. I flick my hand carelessly, and the loudest of them sails into the air like a kite with a snapped string. He bursts into a fine red mist, gone without a trace. I sweep a cold look over the remaining four and invite anyone else who feels like talking to go right ahead. Not one of them dares. They clap their hands over their mouths, faces bloodless, afraid to breathe too loudly. I tell them the rules are simple. I ask and they answer, and whoever is a beat too slow shares the fate of the first man. Then I fire the questions off. How they found this place, which temple of light they serve, what the highest realm in their temple is, and who killed Bake Cheoncheon's brother. They scramble over each other to answer. They squeeze the villagers for the direction we left in, then combed the mountains until they found us. They come from the Cheongjong City Temple of Light, whose strongest is Temple Master Han Gi at the Golden Core early stage. As for Bake Cheoncheon's brother, they swear they do not know exactly who did it. They only know the Temple Master took him into a sealed chamber, and the man was already dead when he came out. Their accounts line up cleanly, with no obvious cracks, so I make my offer. I will give them a chance to live, and if they can defeat her, they walk away. Then I point at Bake Cheonchan. She usually seems calm, but the hatred that surfaces now and then never quite hides. With these Temple of Light cultivators delivered to her doorstep, this is the perfect chance to let her drain that hate before it poisons her. She already stands at the Divine Sea Realm early stage, so using them as sparring dummies is just good use of waste. Hope ignites in the four envoys the moment they take in her 11-year-old appearance, and they nod hard and agree. A poor life beats a fine death, so it is worth a shot. Besides, she looks frail, and perhaps they can grab her as a hostage. Killing intent surges in her eyes instead, and she says she happens to want to look at what these envoys are worth. I flick a finger and undo the seal on one of them. The instant the seal breaks, Bake Cheoncheon streaks out like lightning and drives a fist straight at him. The cultivator hurls a spell to counter while frantically backpedaling for distance, and the two trade dozens of blows in a heartbeat. She is a touch rusty at the start, but the talent is undeniable, and she quickly folds in the combat experience she honed inside the trial tower. 100 moves in, she plants a fist on his vital point and drops him clean. I tell her to regulate her breath and recover before we continue, and she agrees. From there, it becomes a cycle. As soon as her cultivation settles, she takes on the next cultivator whose seal I release, kills him, then sits to recover again. It repeats until she finishes the last of the four by her own hand. With the killing done, the hatred in her eyes has drained noticeably. She walks up, cups her hands, and thanks me. I tell her to pack her things because we are leaving this place, and I am taking her to go kill people. I tell Little Yellow to hurry up and pack too, then turn into the cave to gather my own gear. A moment later, I have everything I need stowed in my storage space, and I call for Little Yellow to carry Bake Cheonchan and follow me. I soar into the air and set a course for Cheongjong City, and Little Yellow drops low, takes her onto its back, and flies close behind. Then I catch sight of hundreds of corpses heaped in the open ground of the village below. I halt in midair and dive. Hovering over the village, I sweep it with my divine sense and find the whole place long since slaughtered. The piled bodies have already begun to rot, flies swarm everywhere, and the reek of decay rolls up into my face. Bake Cheoncheon recognizes faces down there crying out for an Aunt Jo and an Uncle Lee, sobbing and demanding to know how this could have happened and who did it. Hearing those heart-torn cries, I understand at once. This is the very village she lived in. I realize immediately that this is the work of those Temple of Light cultivators, and monstrous killing intent floods my eyes. I had still thought too highly of them. I never imagined they would be this utterly without a floor, butchering innocent commoners without a shred of reason. I swallow the rage down and tell Bake Cheonchan softly that the dead cannot be called back, and that we should lay them to rest properly first. Little Yellow comforts her from the side, telling her to grieve within limits, promising that once we find the murderers, we will kill every one of them for her. She fights her emotions down and asks, voice choked, whether the envoys from earlier did this. I answer quietly that it was most likely them, but that she has already avenged these people with her own hands. It is not enough, she says through her teeth, killing intent boiling in her eyes. She calls them beasts without humanity and swears she will destroy the entire Temple of Light and personally cut down the very God of Light they worship. A thoughtful look crosses my face. If this God of Light ever truly ran into this child of destiny, it is entirely possible he would die for it. And if the chance really came, I would not mind seeing for myself whether a child of destiny is as heaven-defying as the legends claim. Still, I temper her. The realm of the God of Light lies far beyond anything she or I can measure, and even I might not be his match. The Temple of Light almost certainly hides many more experts, so she must be cautious and never rash. As long as the green hills remain, there is no fear of running short of firewood, and once her cultivation is enough, it will not be too late to make her move. She nods and promises she knows her limits and will not throw herself away. I tell her I am glad she understands, and say we should cremate the villagers first. There is no telling one body from another now, so we bury them together. She answers that she will do whatever I say. I raise a hand and call up a flame that swallows the whole heap of corpses, and in moments they are all reduced to ash. I flick a finger, and a beam of light sinks into the earth. The ground recesses, drawing all the ashes down into it. Then the soil fills back over the top and rises into a burial mound. When it is finished, killing intent surges through me again. I say, it is time to go kill people and collect a little interest first. Cheongjeong City, Baekjeoncheon, Little Yellow, and I walk its streets with our real faces hidden behind illusion techniques. I scan the pedestrians and find that anyone in fine clothing is all but extinct here. The overwhelming majority are draped in ragged, coarse linen, every face sallow and gaunt. Their eyes are either hollow and numb or lit with a mere sick fanaticism. The houses on both sides sag into ruin, thatched huts everywhere, with even a half-intact brick building a rare sight. Taking in the scene and setting it against what I already learned, I finally understand why I had a premonition that this place was unfit for spreading the system. The so-called Divine Kingdom is in truth run by cultivators, or more precisely, run entirely by the Temple of Light. This is a land of total religious rule. They may be masters of preaching and brainwashing, but their ability to actually govern is rotten to the marrow. It would not shock me if they keep the common people mired in misery on purpose, just to harden their faith. If I spread the system here, the Temple of Light cultivators would sniff it out fast. They would brand it an evil object, ban it outright, and slaughter anyone who bound themselves to it. They would feel no weight at all in the killing, since they do not even count the commoners under their heel as human. Little Yellow cannot hold its tongue, complaining that it has traveled to so many countries with me and never seen anywhere this poor, without even the shadow of a rich man. It sneers that this is zero development, and that calling it a divine kingdom is a joke, when poor kingdom would fit far better. Baekjeoncheon had long understood conditions in other countries through the system's broadcast feed, the forum, and the other social platforms, but she had never felt it this deeply. Only stepping into this divine kingdom city and seeing it with her own eyes truly shakes her, and she finally grasps how terrible the real state of this place is. She calls it a divine kingdom on earth in name only, saying hell on earth suits it better, her voice gone cold and her eyes full of anger. She condemns the Temple of Light as a tumor that only knows how to bleed the people dry without building anything, an existence that ought to be scoured away completely. Little Yellow chimes in at once that the Temple of Light should be wiped out, that they are raising commoners like livestock, and that the fanatical faces around us prove how fearsome their brainwashing is. Baekjeoncheon turns to me and asks whether she can spread the system through the Divine Kingdom. Perhaps with it the situation here might change, so people could eat their fill, live in decent houses, and see their lives get better, the way things go where the system already reaches. I sigh, long and slow, and tell her it is useless. The Divine Kingdom is not like other countries, because the cultivators here move openly in the mortal world, and their grip on the country is absolute. The commoners are far too devout to the Temple of Light. The instant the system spread, the cultivators would find it, and for the sake of stable rule, they would label everyone bound to it a heretic and kill them all. Even those who never bound it might be dragged down, too. It is not worth sending that many people to their deaths for nothing. The only real hope of fixing the Divine Kingdom, I tell her, is to destroy the Temple of Light utterly and wipe out the so-called God of Light along with it. Her face dims instantly because she is sharp enough to seize the crux of it. Then, in a blink, it hardens back into resolve, killing intent surging as she says in a ruthless voice to kill them all. If there are 10,000 Temple of Light cultivators, kill 10,000, she says. If 1,000,000, kill 1,000,000. If 100 million, kill 100 million, until not one is left standing. The sheer weight of the killing intent on her, as if she means to slay heaven and earth and every living thing, startles me. I warn her not to let the outside world warp her state of mind. Although killing solves problems, she cannot let herself know only killing, because in the end, it wounds others and herself alike. She answers softly that I need not worry, that she knows the limits, her tone already much calmer. My gaze settles on the Temple of Light ahead, lavish and towering as an imperial palace. Its square is packed with a crowd wearing fanatical faces, queuing to file inside. Let us go, I tell them. We are going to kill. We cross the wide square and go straight to the front of the main hall. I look at the commoners about to step inside, a cold smile on my face, and tell them the temple has pressing business today and will not be receiving believers for the time being. Then I turn, step into the hall, and slam the heavy doors shut behind me with a backhand. Inside, worshippers are lined up to offer incense before the statue of the God of Light, so I point a finger, cast an illusion, and drop every one of them into a deep sleep. The temple's cultivators catch the wrongness fast and shout, demanding to know who I am, calling me a fool with a death wish for daring to run wild in the Temple of Light. Kill is all I bother to say. I flick a finger, and a needle of sharp force cuts through the air and punches clean through that cultivator's skull. I spread my divine sense across the whole temple and kill as I walk. In the span of a blink, 32 of them lie dead by my hand. Han Gi, temple master of the Chongjung City Temple of Light, sees me butchering his cultivators wholesale and roars. His spiritual power surges as he prepares to strike. He brands me a sinner who dares slaughter divine envoys inside the Temple of Light, and promises the God of Light will bring down divine punishment. The corner of my mouth twitches. These cultists have been perched on high so long that even their speech carries the identical arrogant note, word for word the same. I do not waste breath. I reach out and grip, and a giant hand condensed from immense true force appears and closes around Han Ji. With a muffled crack, it shatters his dantian and his golden core. Then the hand opens and drops his limp body hard onto the floor. Agony floods him, and the ruin of his dantian and golden core fills him with despair. He had only just seized a heavenly spiritual root, had hoped to climb to a higher realm and maybe rise into the upper ranks of the Temple of Light. Now, running into me today, every ambition of his pops like a bubble. A cold voice reaches his ear, my voice, asking whether he is Han Gi, temple master of the Chongjung City Temple of Light. He looks up, struggles to crawl upright, and kowtows over and over, begging for his life, confirming that yes, he is Han Gi, pleading with his lord to spare him. So he really is Han Gi. I grip his skull and cast the soul-searching technique straight into his memories. The truth of how Baek Chanchan's brother died, the strength and secrets of the Temple of Light, the location of this temple's treasury. I comb through all of it, one piece at a time. Han Ji lets out a tortured roar, saliva running from the corner of his mouth, and in moments his eyes go hollow and dull. When the search ends, light gleams in my eyes, and delight rises in my chest. Faith crystal. I did not expect a harvest like that. The Temple of Light really does have a trick or two up its sleeve. I toss Han Gi at Baek Qianchan's feet and tell her that this is the man who tore out her brother's heavenly spiritual root, and that I leave him to her. She thanks me, and monstrous hatred surges up in her eyes. She clenches her fists and hammers them into Han Ji, one after another, blood spraying with every blow as he howls. On the other side of the hall, I walk to the statue of the God of Light and study the dense incense smoke power of will coiled around it. Or more truly, power of faith. Once that power of faith sinks into the statue, it quietly vanishes into the void realm along channels of faith. I release my divine sense to inspect the statue and quickly uncover its secret. The statue is a magic treasure, built to both gather power of faith and ship the collected power away by positioning coordinates. When my divine sense brushes the power of faith, a stream of murmured prayers reaches my ears. One soul begs to be reborn into a good family next time. Another wishes only to eat until full and taste real food. A man hopes his wife bears him a healthy son. It startles me a little, and I close my hand on a wisp of the power of faith to examine it. I find it resembles the negative energy on the system, though not exactly. The system's negative energy is mostly the 7 emotions and 6 desires, plus one mysterious power, which after several years of research I confirmed to be the power of the mind. But the power of faith carries all that and a strand of pure power of will besides. No wonder they say faith is toxic, when the stray thoughts of the 7 emotions and 6 desires have soaked into it so completely. While the power of faith is thin, it might be harmless, but once it piles up past a certain point, even an immortal would struggle to bear it. And that is before you count the power of the mind woven through it. an endlessly mysterious force brimming with potential. Still, this god of light clearly has real methods, because he has actually managed to use power of faith in place of heaven and earth's spiritual chi as fuel for cultivation. How far he has taken the research I cannot yet tell. If I could get my hands on his cultivation technique for purifying power of faith, it might speed up my own hunt for a cure to the system's negative energy. Several years of study have given me some leads, but turning them into a working solution will still take a long time. I tell Little Yellow to stay here and watch over Bake Qianshan while I visit the Temple of Light's treasure vault, and it agrees. At the vault, I wave a hand and the door swings open, revealing a mountain of gold and silver and jewelry. I sweep it all up in a beam of light and pour it into my storage space. Then I come to the second level, where the door carries a restriction flickering with faint light. The wards are crude, and one glance is enough to find the way through them, so I strike the door with my palm, shatter the restriction outright, and push through into the second level. Inside stand only two large wooden chests. I lift the lids with a wave and find crystal and faith crystal within. Exactly the substance the Temple of Light refines after purifying power of faith, their fuel for cultivation. So this is a faith crystal. I pick up two and study them, quickly spotting the difference between them. Quality tracks the amount of negative energy locked inside, the 7 emotions and 6 desires. The less negative energy a crystal holds, the higher its grade. But the Chengzheng City Temple ranks low, so the best it stores are only medium-grade crystals. From Han Gi's memories, I learned that Faith Crystal also comes in high-grade, and even top-tier ranks. If I could secure a top-tier stone, I might be able to gauge just how strong the Temple of Light's purification truly is. I toss both chests of Faith Crystal into my storage space and return to the main hall. The first thing I see is Bake Qianshan. Her white dress dyed blood red. A morbid smile hangs on her blood-streaked face, and not far off, Han Ji has been beaten into a pulp of blood and mud. Little Yellow stands rigid to the side, its eyes full of fear. I frown and ask whether she is all right. She smiles and tells me she is fine, that she simply could not rein in the hatred in her heart earlier. But now that she has vented it, she feels much better. She only regrets frightening Little Yellow. It fires back at once that it was not frightened, merely a bit startled by how she changed. I tell her I am glad she is fine, then add that when she kills someone, she must remember to destroy the soul, so no hidden trouble is left behind. I point a finger at Han Ji's head and wipe his soul out completely. She nods hard and says she has committed it to memory. I turn to the statue of the God of Light and explain what it is. The Temple of Light is an organization the God of Light set up to harvest the power of faith of the Divine Kingdom. Its cultivators draw their energy chiefly by purifying that power of faith and condensing it into faith crystal. But human hearts are tangled, and faith is poison, and one careless step drowns a person in a sea of suffering with no way back. If she ever comes into faith crystal, she must never use it. I have to admit, I tell her, that whoever devised a cultivation technique to purify power of faith, this God of Light is a genius. Then I bring my palm down on the statue and smash it to powder. Let us go, I say. We are leaving. I push the temple doors open and rise into the air, then draw the looted gold and silver back out of my storage space and scatter it across every street and alley of Chengzheng City. It was wrung from these people to begin with, and now I am simply giving it back. That done, I fly clear of the city, Little Yellow following close with Bake Qianshan on its back, and the three of us vanish into the horizon. 3 days later, Bake Qianshan looks at Little Yellow and me, her expression unusually firm. She thanks us for taking care of her all this time, then says that this is where we part. Little Yellow asks, baffled, why she would leave when she is safer at our side. She shakes her head gently and answers that it is precisely because staying with us is too safe that she has to go. If she is always protected, she will never get real tempering, and she cannot say when she would ever reach the pureless cultivation needed to bring her brother back. Just as Big Brother said, she reminds us, to become strong you have to taste some suffering and pass through 1,000 hardships. She tells Little Yellow they can still reach each other through the messenger whenever they like. Little Yellow sighs, knowing full well her decision is the right one, and tells her that since she has already made up her mind, she should go. If she ever hits trouble she cannot untangle, she should contact it any time, since it dares not claim to solve everything but can handle most things. I hand her 10 jade tokens, telling her each one holds a single strike of mine and might save her life at the critical moment. She takes them in both hands, her eyes reddening as she thanks me. Then I raise my hands into a seal, calling on the law of fate and the law of karma to scramble her heavenly secrets and her karma. I tell her I have just concealed her from divination, so the Temple of Light will not be able to trace her by deduction for a while. She murmurs her understanding, takes one last long look at the two of us, then turns and walks away. I watch her figure shrink into the distance and wonder to myself whether this child of destiny is finally about to set out on her own road of fate. Little Yellow asks softly where we are going next. To rob the rich and feed the poor. I tell it with a chuckle, and my figure turns into a streak of light as I shoot into the distance. It follows, thoroughly confused, dissolving into a yellow streak behind me. Over the next half a month, I take Little Yellow and level 12 temples of light, one after another, hunting the whole time for a cultivation technique to purify power of faith. Still nothing, I sigh. These Nascent Soul Realm Temple Masters plainly do not have it, so I will have to go find the Spirit Transformation Realm ones. After each soul search, I kill the Temple Master's soul, drop it, and walk into the treasury. I sweep all the gold and silver and jewels into my storage space, then scatter the wealth among the common people of the city. Many City, Temple of Light. The Temple Master there brands me a sinner who has destroyed more than a dozen of their temples, and warns that daring to make trouble in his Many City Temple today is a fatal mistake. He declares he is nothing like the other Temple Masters I have met, and that today he will kill me and teach me the Temples of Light are not to be trifled with. Yuk Chong, Temple Master of Many City, faces me brimming with confidence, weaving seals fast and unleashing a water dragon roar. A mere spirit transformation realm dares posture in front of me. He truly does not know how to go on living. I could kill spirit transformation realm experts back when I was in the Dao Seed realm. Now that I have broken through to the late stage of the Dao manifestation realm, crushing a man like this is easier still. I quietly spread my true force outward and raise a barrier to keep the aftermath of our clash from harming the commoners in the city. Then I swing a fist and loose the Five Elements Fist. The power of the five elements flowing through it as a terrifying destructive force erupts and rushes straight at Yuk Chong. The Five Elements Fist shatters the water dragon in an instant, and the leftover force drives on toward him undiminished. He cannot understand it, crying out that I carry nothing but the aura of an Ascent Soul Realm cultivation, demanding to know how I can unleash an attack this monstrous. His face changes and he retreats in a rush, brilliant white light bursting around his body, as a thick divine shield of light springs up to block the Five Elements Fist. The fist slams into the shield and blows it apart in one crash. The remaining force hurls him back into the statue of the God of Light behind him, shattering the statue and scattering the fragments across the ground. Dead men do not need to know too much. I flash forward and appear in front of Yuk Chong, and my fist breaks the spiritual energy shield he throws up in panic, then lands unobstructed on his low-grade spiritual artifact armor. The armor shatters with a crisp crack. I throw another punch that ruins his dantian and every meridian in his body. He vomits blood, his organs pulped, unbearable pain racking him, and despair fills his face as he babbles that he is clearly a full realm above me. If a fight came down to comparing numbers on paper, I tell him there would be no point in fighting at all. Then I grip his head and run a soul search. The agony of the search wrenches a scream out of him, his face twisting, spit running loose. And when I finish, I clench my hand and destroy his primordial spirit. His memories tell me that only the God of Light holds the highest grade cultivation technique for purifying power of faith, while the Void Return Realm Masters carry only the elementary version. They also tell me the Temple Master of Light, furious that his temples keep falling, has dispatched 4 Void Return Realm experts, each bringing 4 Spirit Transformation Realm experts, to hunt me down. I digest what I pulled from Yuk Chong, brows drawing together as I sink into thought. Only the Void Return Realm holds the purification technique, and the Temple of Light has sent 4 Void Return Realm experts after me. Perhaps, I murmur, I could try to take a Void Return Realm expert alive. Then I steady myself just as fast, because that is too reckless. I am not confident I can reliably beat a Void Return Realm expert, and if I fail, my only option is to run. But weighing the situation, I grit my teeth. The system now has over 10 trillion hosts, and negative energy is breeding faster and thicker by the day. I have built a purification method of my own, but its effect is weak, and it still needs round after round of testing that eats far too much time. If I could seize the Temple of Light's method, it would surely accelerate my own path. Do it. As long as I lay the formation in advance, capturing a Void Return Realm expert alive is not impossible. And even if I cannot beat him, escaping will be no trouble with my strength. If only I could fully unleash the power of my inner world, I sigh. There are 129,600 grotto heaven worlds inside me, yet I cannot loose all their strength at once. If I truly held nothing back, my physical body would be blown apart on the spot. And the Grotto Heaven worlds would take damage as well. A trade where the loss outweighs the gain. I search Yu Chung's body and turn up no storage treasure at all. For crying out loud, are spirit transformation realm experts really this destitute? This is not cultivation. I have met spirit transformation realm experts from other schools who were filthy rich. So why are the Temple of Light's people such paupers? Then I reconsider, and it makes sense. The Temples of Light are rooted in the mortal world, with no spiritual mountains or rivers to nourish them, and no spirit stone mines to bankroll them. Next to the schools that sit on spiritual peaks in blessed lands, of course they come out poor. Little Yellow trots over, angling for praise, and reports that it has dealt with all the other cultivators in the temple. Good. Well done, I tell it, patting its head with a smile. It shakes itself, delighted, insisting it is all because I taught it well. I gather every faith crystal and every scrap of gold and silver from the treasury into my storage space, then distribute the wealth to the people of Manier City. After leaving the city, I do not move against the next target right away. Instead, I find a small hill and go into seclusion to build a formation that can ambush the Void Return Realm experts. A month later, I open my eyes with a smile spreading across my face. It is done. The Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation is finally deduced, and with it my odds of taking a Void Return Realm expert alive rise sharply. The Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation can evolve Yin and Yang in the 5 elements, and it can just as well reverse them to fold everything back into chaos. It can crack open worlds and derive endless dust worlds. Those worlds are born and destroyed within the formation in an unbroken cycle, and once a man is trapped inside, it is nearly impossible to escape. The formation is built above all for imprisonment, and its raw attack power runs weak next to its power to trap. Its real combat worth still needs testing though. Before that, I have to refine 7 main flags and 365 auxiliary flags of yin-yang and the 5 elements. My divine sense enters the heavenly Tao space of my inner world, and with a single thought a vast surge of world origin rises like a tide and evolves 372 formation flags. Then I point a finger, and the great Tao of the world evolves the 3000 great Tao laws. They stream through the sky as flowing light that condenses into great Tao runes and brands itself onto each formation flag. The flags shudder in unison and erupt with brilliant light. Endless great Tao runes swirling around them before sinking in. A moment later, the glow converges and settles into a deep color like chaos itself. These 372 formation flags are refined directly from world origin, which places them in the innate category, so they can be counted as innate magic treasures. A pity, though, that the essence of Grotto Heaven level world origin is too thin, which means the flags themselves are not of a very high grade. I stand, and with a nudge of my mind, the 372 formation flags rise into the air and lock together into the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation. The instant it takes shape, it carves out an independent formation space and begins evolving Chaos Chi. The Chaos Chi splits into Yin and Yang, evolves the 5 elements, then inverts them and reverses Yin and Yang to return to chaos. Out of that, endless dust worlds are born, each one erupting with terrifying destructive power in the moment between its creation and its ruin. Even I did not expect the formation to be this fierce. If I were the one trapped inside, escape would be hard without unleashing the power of my inner world. With that thought, I draw the formation flags back into the heavenly Tao space to nourish them in world origin. Little Yellow had been watching the formation run, blank with terror, the raw power making it shiver, and it only comes back to itself once I put the flags away. It asks what that formation was, calls it terrifying, and swears that if it fell inside it would be killed on the spot. That is the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation I just created. I tell it, and its power is not bad. A proud smile shows on my face. Then it asks, curious, whether I could break out if I were the one who fell in. My proud smile freezes on my face. That goes without saying, I tell it, since it clearly has no idea who I am. Then I add that I told it to stop fooling around and cultivate seriously, seeing as it is still only at the late stage of the Tao Seed realm. I flick it on the dog head. It yelps that it hurts and begs me not to knock its most loyal self silly, clutching its head. The sight of its pained little face leaves a satisfied smile on mine. Blackrock City, Temple of Light, midnight. After several days of scouting, I have confirmed that Peng Jun, the Void Return Realm expert the Temple of Light sent, is lodging in this city's temple tonight. He is guarded by 1 Void Return Realm expert and 5 Spirit Transformation Realm experts. Without the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation, I would likely be helpless, but I prepared early, and tonight the ambush tilts the advantage to me. I look at the grand, gaudy temple ahead and tell Little Yellow softly to go back into the pet space and stay there. I will not be able to watch over it once the fight starts. It shakes its head, sick with worry, and asks whether I really mean to capture a Void Return Realm expert. Even with the formation, this is too dangerous. It says, since we do not even know how strong a Void Return Realm expert truly is. It pleads that maybe we should forget it. As long as the Green Hills remain, there is no fear of running short of firewood, and it would not be too late to catch one after my cultivation breaks through again. There is no need to worry, I tell it, because I know my own limits, and I pat its head, then send it into the pet space with a thought. I flash up above the Temple of Light. My mind moves, and the 372 formation flags become streams of light that land in a ring around the temple and instantly raise the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation. The formation carves out its space, evolves Chaos Chi, and the surging chaos submerges the whole temple. At once, the temple's own defensive formation erupts with a white light shield and blocks the Chaos Chi. I did not expect the Temple of Light to have a formation, I admit, having underestimated them, but that is all it amounts to. I study its operation and sigh because the Chaos Chi my formation evolves is far weaker than the Chaos Chi out in the boundless Chaos Sea. The formation still needs refining and strengthening later, or against a stronger enemy the effect it manages will be smaller yet. Peng Jun catches the disturbance the moment the formation forms and roars, demanding to know who has the nerve to attack him. The 5 Nascent Soul Stage cultivators sense it too, and stare, grim, at the Chaos Chi battering the temple's defensive formation. Gang Yong, Temple Master of the Black Rock City Temple of Light, sees the defensive formation shuddering as though it will break at any breath. He urges Peng Jun frantically that it will not hold long. Peng Jun bellows, trying to bait me out of the dark. He brands me the sinner who has destroyed so many of their temples, and demands what grudge I bear. He warns that the Temple of Light is the messenger of the God of Light in the mortal world. Do I not fear his punishment? He shouts. I curl my lip, already at the Void Return Realm, and still carrying on like a common cultist. I do not bother answering. My mind moves, and the Chaos Chi in the formation splits into Yin Chi and Yang Chi. The two intertwine and spin without end, erupting with destructive force that hammers the defensive formation until a crack races across the light shield. Not good, Gang Young cries. The formation is about to break. Everyone be careful. No sooner are the words out than the temple's formation shatters and the Chaos Chi and Yin Yang Chi come flooding in. The grand, gaudy temple melts and crumbles under the onslaught, the lower cultivation cultivators dying where they stand. In the blink of an eye, the entire temple is gone, leaving only the experts above the spirit transformation realm still holding on. Peng Jun strains against the Chaos Chi and the Yin Yang Chi, his face livid. He roars that if I have any spine, I will come out and face him head on, and that he will grant me 10 free moves. I turn a deaf ear. My mind moves again, and the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements Dust Formation evolves a sky full of 5 elements Chi. The elements generate and restrain one another as they spin, carrying terrifying destructive power that all crashes down on the 5 Nascent Soul Stage cultivators. The 5 can only throw up their spiritual energy shields and scramble aside through the storm, but the assault inside the formation space is simply too overwhelming. Chaos Chi splits into Yin and Yang, derives the 5 elements, and folds back into chaos at any instant, the destructive power sweeping outward like a hurricane. Fire dragons, floods, meteors, and blades of sword Chi keep raining down. Several of them cannot last long, beaten until they spit blood, gravely wounded, their spiritual energy nearly spent. One Nascent Soul Stage cultivator screams as his body bursts into a red mist, dissolved by the Chaos Chi in an instant with not a trace left behind. The remaining 4 go white with despair. Gang Young's throat bobs violently as he cries out to Peng Jun to save him. Peng Jun's eyes narrow, and he reaches into his storage pouch and pulls out a high-grade spirit saber gleaming with cold light. One wave sending the blade glow soaring to shatter the incoming attacks. All of you, come to me, he shouts. Wild joy breaks over the faces of Gang Yong and the other 4, and they rush toward Peng Jun in a mad scramble. But right then, a strange thing happens. The distance between them and Peng Jun stretches insanely in a heartbeat, and though he stands right before their eyes, it is as if 10,000 mountains and rivers now lie between them. The surrounding attacks grow more savage. Chaos Chi condenses into thousands of sharp sword Chi, and Yin Yang Chi swirls and coils into a vast grinding millstone. 5 elements Chi gathers into a 5-colored torrent, all of it crushing down toward the 4. No, they wail, throwing their last strength into their spells and sacrificing their magic treasures to try to block the heaven-ending blow. A string of deafening roars explodes, and the four shrieks cut off all at once. The four nascent soul stage cultivators are wiped out before they can even loose their primordial spirits. "Come out, sinner, you spineless coward," Peng Jun shouts, seeing Gang Young and the other three fall. And he swings his spirit saber without pause. The saber light carves through the void realm, sharp saber chi stacking layer on layer to keep annihilating the attacks surging in from every side. Trapped in the formation with no way out, he rages and curses without end, his face a mask of mania and refusal. I pay his cursing no mind at all, keeping my whole attention on running the Chaos Yin-Yang 5 Elements dust formation. I cycle thousands of offensives inside it while the Yin-Yang and 5 Elements interweave and shift, unleashing one attack method after another. All the while, I watch for the flaws that surface as the formation runs, gathering data for the next round of refinement. Just as Peng Jun's saber momentum begins to sag, I stir my thoughts. In an instant, the chaos chi inside the formation surges and boils, evolving within the chaos the very image of the creation of a world. That vast power, tearing open the chaos and splitting heaven from earth, erupts without warning and blasts Peng Jun flying. More chaos chi gathers on its heels, evolving scene after scene of great worlds being born inside the formation. The power of creation erupts in a torrential storm that batters him. He is thrown about, tumbling over and over, blood spraying from his mouth, his cursing finally strangled to silence. Then the newborn dust world seize the moment and swallow him whole, layer upon layer, nested without end, sealing him fast inside. Seeing himself buried deep in the dust worlds, Peng Jun looses all his spiritual energy and slashes out a world-destroying saberlight. He tears the world in front of him in a bid to force his way out. But the moment the world splits open, the shattered heaven and earth transform into world-destroying power and hammer him. His spiritual energy shield bursts in a crisp crack, the protective armor on his body splits along an ugly seam, and blood runs from the wounds in streams. When he sees clearly that he has surfaced in yet another brand new world, despair flickers in his eyes. Then a fierce light rekindles, and he cuts loose another sky-tearing saber to break the dust world. And again, the instant the world is destroyed, the world-destroying power erupts and wounds him. "No," he roars, "this is impossible." Appearing once more inside a dust world, still swinging his saber in refusal, he insists it must be an illusion, that he flatly does not believe a single formation could evolve this many worlds. I watch him erupt with his full strength over and over, hacking at the dust worlds with his world-destroying saber, desperate to break the formation and flee. While I keep the formation churning out fresh dust worlds, I quietly dissect the strength and mysteries of the Void Return Realm. So that is it. The Void Return Realm can actually reach into the Void Realm directly, which is why he can keep slashing the dust worlds apart. But these dust worlds are only temporary things evolved from Chaos Chi, and in the end, they cannot compare to a real world. Now that I have roughly measured the Void Return Realm, even if he is hiding something, he cannot stir up much trouble. With my current strength, I am fully able to meet a Void Return Realm expert head-on, and I even have a shot at killing one. I could simply grind him down with the formation, but a chance to trade blows with the Void Return Realm is genuinely rare and worth seizing. Still, to play it safe, I might as well wear him down a while longer, because I have no intention of capsizing in a gutter. A quarter of an hour later, I step into the formation fully armed, the cauldron of creation floating above my head, the chaos green lotus beneath my feet, and the heaven-opening sword in my hand. As much as I want to fight Peng Jun to sharpen my combat and maybe even force a breakthrough, I know my life matters, so I come prepared for anything. The instant I enter, I slash out with the sword, and heaven and earth drain of color as a brilliant sword light carrying the power to annihilate everything crashes toward him. Peng Jun sees me and shouts with wild glee that the sinner has finally shown himself, that if he kills me today, he can break the formation and escape. Then he sees the attack itself, and his expression flips in an instant as he throws out two streaks of saber chi to meet my sword light. The sword light and the saber chi collide with earth-splitting force and erupt in brilliance. The world-destroying power sweeps everywhere and tears straight through this layer of dust world, dropping the two of us into a new one. Kill. Filled with killing intent, I rush him fast as lightning, the heaven-opening sword slashing again and again, streaks of world-destroying sword light weaving into a net. A ferocious battle erupts, the two of us fighting like madmen inside the formation, the roar of it echoing through the void realm. I hold the heaven-opening sword and cut, the sharp light stacking layer on layer, every move meant to kill. My left hand stays busy loosing the Great Five Elements Destruction Divine Light and the Great Yin-Yang Annihilation Divine Light. the divine lights braiding through the sword light until the momentum turns overwhelming. Peng Jun has been on the edge of ruin for a long time now. Were it not that I am deliberately sparing his life to take him alive, he would already have died beneath the storm of my attacks. His mood falls from that first excitement into shock as the fight drags on, then is finally swallowed whole by fear and despair, and he roars in disbelief that it is impossible. Absolutely impossible. He cannot fathom how a man with nothing but the cultivation of an ascent soul realm can wield such terrifying combat power. He calls it a thing that defies the common logic of cultivation, insisting that even worn down as he is not someone an ascent soul realm could contend with. He accuses me of hiding my true cultivation. I am long used to this. The nascent soul stage cultivator I killed earlier broke down in exactly the same way in front of me. I tell him that just because he cannot do it does not mean no one can. My tone calm even as my attacks never slow. Then I ask him how he would like to die. Do not get smug, Peng Jun roars, his voice fierce but thinning, warning that killing him will not come easy. If I dare do it, he threatens, the Temple of Light will hound me without end. I chuckle, and the sword light only grows sharper. Then let them come and hound me, I tell him, since I happen to be short on the pressure that hones a man. Seeing the threat fall flat, his tone caves at once into pleading. If I let him go, he offers, he can make the Temple of Light forget the whole affair and stop the pursuit, and it would be good for us both. I do not think it is good at all, I sneer, my gaze turning sharp. Your dying here is the best ending there is. Before the words fade, I unleash the five-colored divine light. A dazzling streak of it flashes past and sweeps the high-grade spirit saber clean out of his hand. In the same beat my sword light surges, the sky-tearing momentum bursting free and shattering his spiritual energy shield on the spot. The protective armor on his body breaks and falls away in pieces. Incomparably sharp sword chi drives into him, carving through his physical body. No, he screams, spare me, please spare me, begging in broken pieces even as he pours his last strength into expelling the rampaging sword chi inside him. I turn a deaf ear, the sword light flashes and severs Peng Jun's limbs, then true force bursts from my fingertips and ruins his meridians and his dantian, leaving him without the power to resist anything at all. I look down at him, slumped and broken on the ground, and a cold light moves through my eyes. The cultivation technique for purifying power of faith is finally about to be mine. I deposit the heaven-opening sword, the cauldron of creation, and the chaos green lotus into the heavenly Tao space of my Dantian world, letting the world origin nurture them. These heaven-opening artifacts earned their keep today, because it was their blocking of Peng Jun's endless offensives that let me take him down so cleanly. I grab Peng Jun's head and sift through his soul, hunting for the Temple of Light's secrets and the crucial cultivation technique for purifying the power of faith. He shrieks and begs me to stop, his face twisting in agony, but I keep digging. My face lights up when I find it, then my brows draw together. The Temple of Light's purification technique is bizarrely crude for something so prized. It simply ignites the power of faith and calcines it over and over, brute force burning the negative energy out of it, with nothing elegant about the process and almost no craft to speak of. I wonder whether some hidden mystery is buried in it that I cannot read, but the technique itself gives nothing away. I would have to test it myself to ever untangle the secret, and I find myself wondering if the God of Light's own method is this primitive too. All that trouble, and the sacred technique reads like a factory shortcut. Seeing nothing more for now, I press down with my palm, shatter Peng Jun's primordial spirit, and lift his storage pouch off the corpse. Then I toss the body into the formation, where the chaos chi dissolves it whole, not a trace left behind. A flick of my mind stills the chaos yin-yang 5 elements dust formation. Its 372 formation flags stream back as ribbons of light into my inner world, for the world origin to nurse. Where the Temple of Light once stood in Black Rock City, only bare ground remains. I circulate the law of fate and the law of karma to scramble my own heavenly secrets. Then I blur into an afterimage and streak back to the little hill where I holed up in seclusion days ago. A flash of yellow light, and little Yellow is at my side, crowding in and looking me over with open worry, asking if I am hurt. I tell him I am fine and pat his head. He sighs in relief, then gazes at me with shining admiration, saying it is incredible that I escaped a void returning realm expert. My hand pauses mid-pat, and I flick him lightly on the skull, asking whether he has so little faith in his master. I did not escape anyone, I tell him. I captured that void returning realm expert alive. He yelps and clutches his head with both front paws, groveling that he was wrong. that his master is the most amazing being in the heavens and on earth. I snort. Good that he knows it. I form seals and re-raise the 5 elements defense formation around us, telling him we will stay a few more days because I need to build a new divine ability. Then I walk into the cave, take out a prayer mat, sit cross-legged and link my divine sense to the subsystem computing power matrix. The divine ability I want is one for brainwashing and control. I need it because I mean to test the power of faith purification technique I pulled from Peng Jun. Testing needs power of faith, and nowhere holds denser power of faith than a temple of light. So my plan is simple. I move in on a temple of light, seize the cultivators inside with the brainwashing divine ability, then use the God of Light's power of faith to test the purification technique. I decide to call it the God-washing technique. It will take the Soul Tao and the Great Tao of Desire as its foundation, then fold in the mysterious power of the mind. It will distort an opponent's cognition at the root, rather than merely leashing them. I sweep through every Soul Tao technique in the system store, taking the essence and discarding the dross, deducing day and night without pause. After 1 month, the God-washing technique is finished. When I open my eyes, Great Tao runes flow across my pupils, infinite Tao principles glimmering and fading in their depths. I stand, put the prayer mat away, and step out to find Little Yellow sprawled on a rocking chair sunbathing. My face darkens and I pat his head, warning that if he keeps slacking, Giandado's cultivation will catch up to his. He scrambles upright and rubs his head against my feet, fawning that his master has finally left seclusion. I grunt, seal the formation away, and soar into the sky, telling him to come find some lucky soul to test the divine ability on. Purple Star City, Temple of Light. I look down at Temple Master Sim Ho and 32 temple cultivators sprawled on the floor. I raise my hand, cast the freshly made God-washing technique, and drive a ray of divine light into one cultivator's skull. 3 breaths later, I release the seal on him, and he kneels before me, and calls me master with total reverence. I probe him with my divine sense, and find his body sound, his soul normal, only his mental cognition rewritten whole, though he behaves exactly like any ordinary man. The result delights me. When I glance at the others, their faces are stiff with terror, plainly spooked witless by the eerie sight. Little Yellow, rattled, asks what on earth just happened. I tell him this is the God-washing technique I built, that it converts enemies and lets them turn over a new leaf. Then I smirk and ask if he would like a dose, so he can become a diligent, hard-working good dog. He bolts backward in a flash, yelping that he is my most loyal Little Yellow and I absolutely cannot use it on him. His cowardice makes me laugh, since I was only teasing. Mischievous, lazy, and playful as he is, that is exactly what makes him feel real. Besides, the God-washing technique has a clear flaw, because it clouds the recipient's mind and makes future breakthroughs to higher realms very hard. I turn to the rest of the temple cultivators with a meaningful smile, and tell them not to be afraid, that in a moment they will all become upstanding, righteous people. One after another, the rays of divine light strike home into every cultivator's mind, and I unlock their seals. Sim Ho and the others rise, kneel, and hail me as master, and the sight raises Little Yellow's fur and sends him back another few steps. I inspect Sim Ho's group carefully and confirm the God-washing technique took hold cleanly. Whether it works on higher realms still needs testing, but there is no rush, and I will verify it when the chance comes. I look up at the statue of the God of Light, a cold sneer at my mouth. I tell it I will borrow its territory for an experiment first, and that later I will be sure to send it a big gift. I wave Sim Ho and the rest away, telling them to withdraw, and they bow and retreat until only Little Yellow and I remain in the main hall. His frightened face leaves me speechless, because for all his usual bravado, he turns out to be a real coward. I tell him I will not use the God-washing technique on him, then add that a creature this timid will never get by in the cultivation world, and he should withdraw too. His face floods with delight, and he crows that he knew his master could never bear to part with him before trotting out of the hall. Loyal, brave Little Yellow, right up until the word experiment. I shake my head, turn, and reach toward the power of faith gathered on the statue of the God of Light, and it drops into my palm at a grasp. I cast Peng Jun's purification technique, and the power of faith ignites at once into a fierce knot of white flame. It sizzles, wisps of black energy burning off and dissipating, and as the distracting thoughts and other negative energy cook away, the power of faith grows purer and purer. Then something surprises me. Inside the burning negative energy, threads of pure energy are being stripped free and quietly merging into the power of faith, so scarce that only my careful watching catches them at all. It is not power of faith, not mental power, and not the negative energy of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. I have no idea how such a change could occur, so I bear down and observe, racing to trace the cause before the power of faith finishes burning. After a while, I realize the energy is undergoing a qualitative change, the old negative energy transforming into something mild and pure in the fire. The insight opens something in me. Energy can transmute into energy, and even the most extreme force carries a dual nature. Take chaos chi, which brims with the power to destroy all things yet hides infinite creation and vitality, able to become world origin, innate spiritual energy, and more. All things run this way, yin and yang inverting, life and death turning, death at its extreme, birthing life and life at its extreme birthing death. The cycle wheeling without end. With the principle clear, I marshal my true force into a thin film, wrapping the mild energy so it cannot mix back into the power of faith. Half an hour later, the whole batch of Purple Star City's power of faith is spent. 3 pieces of faith crystal rest in my palm. 1 medium grade and 2 low grade, identical to what I took from the temple before. A thought flashes through me. What if the medium grade and low grade faith crystal are all refined by void returning realm experts, and only the high grade and top grade ones come from the God of Light himself? If so, then the God of Light's purification technique differs from the void returning realm masters in nothing essential, only in being more refined and more efficient. Then I dismiss it. It probably is not the God of Light's own work. With so many temple cultivators needing high-grade and top-grade faith crystal, even worked half to death, he could never keep up with the demand. There must be other methods, or other people refining the faith crystal in his name. I set the question aside and turn to the mild energy, a bead the size of a glass marble wrapped in true force. My divine sense finds it exquisitely refined and pure, without a trace of impurity, close in essence to soul power yet subtly different. I draw 1 wisp into my body to refine it, and the instant it refines it becomes a cool current that flows into my soul, and I feel my soul strengthen, if only slightly. I look inward at once, checking hundreds of times for any taint or abnormality, and my soul stays as pure as ever, unharmed. Reassured, I absorb the rest and refine it all, and when it is done, my soul has clearly grown a little stronger with no side effects at all. Excitement surges up that I cannot hold down. Say I could build an efficient way to transmute negative energy into something that strengthens the soul, something I might call soul power. Then the negative energy piling up on the system stops being a threat and becomes a priceless treasure instead. I make up my mind to stay here in the Purple Star City Temple of Light and focus everything on turning negative energy into soul power. Eastern Wilderness. The Jin family stands behind the Jin Kingdom as its immortal cultivation family. Jinjai, a collateral disciple, sits cross-legged on his bed, throwing everything into a breakthrough to the Foundation establishment realm. Cold sweat beads his forehead and his face flushes crimson. Then he spits a mouthful of blood, screams, and crumples unconscious. An hour later, his eyes fly open, blazing with hatred, and he curses Wang Ri as a backstabbing traitor he had trusted with everything. Before he finishes, he collapses again. When he wakes once more, a crazed grin splits his face, and he swears Wang Ri never imagined he could achieve reincarnation, vowing to tear her apart once he regains his cultivation. Then confusion takes him. He mutters that this is not his old world, that here people cultivate through the immortal cultivation system, rather than the artifact cultivation system. His immortal cultivation aptitude this life is a wretched 4 spiritual roots, and it took over 50 years to crawl to the 9th layer of chi refining. The breakthrough to Foundation establishment nearly killed him just now, but he tells himself he does not need immortal cultivation. He can walk the path of artifact cultivation again, using his body as an artifact and body refining as artifact refining. And with a past life's experience, the road should be smooth. He remembers dying in his previous life, cut down by Wang Ri's betrayal. Just after passing the heavenly tribulation, his Tao scattered. At the last instant, he used the law of space to let his primordial spirit escape and reincarnate, though the space treasure body he had cultivated likely fell into Wang Ri's hands. This life he will cultivate again, stronger than before, and take back everything he lost. He wonders idly whether the geniuses of this world are ready, warning them not to let their Tao hearts collapse when he crushes them. For now, though, he decides to seclude himself and cultivate until he reaches the equivalent of the Golden Core realm, enough for basic self-preservation. 3 years slip past quietly. My cultivation reaches the Tao manifestation realm peak, 1 step from the next realm, ready to break through whenever I choose. I'd hold off on purpose, partly to settle my current cultivation and firm up my foundation, and partly because the cultivation technique for the next realm is still being deduced and refined. My control over the space-time realm has climbed to 79%. The speed comes not only from my own breakthroughs, but from the world origin and the soul power, which strengthen my soul at a startling pace. In these 3 years, I have worked out how to convert negative energy into soul power. I create a special world and pour the system's negative energy into it, evolving it into monsters, so the negative energy becomes living things, and its nature is preliminarily converted. Then I feed a wisp of a system host's divine sense into that world, grow it into a physical body, and let the host kill the monsters and scatter the negative energy. Using the world itself as a furnace, its own mechanism smelts the scattered negative energy and extracts it as soul power. It runs efficiently, and best of all, I do not have to do the labor myself, a system that makes other people grind my materials for me. Now that is good design. Right now, I hold a world seed I condensed over a long stretch, ready to perform heaven splitting and create a special world. My divine sense enters the world seed, and I bring out the heaven-opening artifacts from my inner world. I stand on the Chaos Green Lotus with the great Tao Jade Disc hovering overhead, the heaven-opening sword gripped tight, and the cauldron of creation floating at my side. I stare into the churning Chaos Chi, unleash my heaven-splitting divine ability, and cleave out with a roar. The Chaos Chi splits into yin and yang, then evolves into the power of the 5 elements, the clear Chi rising into heaven, and the turbid Chi sinking into earth. Wuji gives birth to Taiji, Taiji to the 2 instruments to the 4 symbols, and the 4 symbols to the 8 trigrams. The Tao gives birth to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to all things, and infinite great Tao principles keep evolving through the splitting. After 49 cleaving strokes, the heaven and earth take shape, and the 3,000 great Tao laws appear, weaving a dense net that wraps the whole world and keeps it from collapsing back into chaos. The great Tao Jade Disc flies high and erupts with the light of the 3,000 great Tao laws, sorting the new world's laws. I point, and the star law appears, colliding and merging with the Chaos Chi to evolve into billions of stars and a vast star space in the void realm. I point again into the depths of the earth, the laws race, and a dim, profound netherworld opens. The 6 paths reincarnation disc, Nahi bridge, and gates of hell settling in one by one. I channel the water law next, the leftover Chaos Chi turning to surging water vapor. Torrential rain falls between heaven and earth, while thunder rolls in the clouds, breathing life Chi into the newborn world. The cauldron of creation drifts up and refines the remaining Chaos Chi into innate spiritual energy, pouring it steadily into the new world. Then a majestic heavenly Tao pressure rises. A crack splits the void realm and an indifferent vertical eye emerges from it. The eye of the heavenly Tao. Surprise runs through me, because I have opened 129,600 worlds before, and not one ever drew the eye of the heavenly Tao. I merge my mind with the new world and understand at once. This time the world did not form in the boundless chaos sea. It formed directly inside the multiverse, where the Changnan realm sits, becoming a subordinate world. And that is what drew the eye's gaze. For a moment it puzzles me. Both were world seeds. Both evolved the 3,000 great Tao laws. So why did this one not enter a chaos world like the rest? Perhaps because the others were born inside my body and this one outside it. One thing is certain though, that the 129,600 worlds within me must hold some extraordinary uniqueness. The eye of the heavenly Tao sizes up the new world, glances at me, and then a vast golden light of karma descends. The karma divides itself into 6 parts, 60% falling straight into the new world, 20% flying toward me, and the last 20% splitting 4 ways toward the 4 heaven-opening artifacts. In a blink, I decide to hand all the karma meant for me and the artifacts over to the new world. I know karma is transformed from world origin, and the multiverse's karma runs very high, so accepting it would surge my strength and might even carry me straight to immortal ascension. But such an immortal would be hollow and would rot my foundation, and that I will never accept. With my ability, I am not worried about reaching immortal ascension the right way. I had also considered taking the karma into my inner world to refine, which might jump it to a small world or a middle world, but I decide against that too. I have already grasped my inner world's uniqueness, and I do not want outside interference stripping its potential. Better to give the karma to the new world, let it evolve more perfectly, and comprehend richer great Tao laws from it without touching my inner world directly. The same logic covers the heaven-opening artifacts, which came from my inner world to begin with. Rather than forcing them stronger with karma, I would rather draw them back inside and nurture them slowly, keeping pace with my own growth. If they suddenly leapt too far ahead, I might not be able to unleash them, or I might burn a fortune in true force just to swing them once. then they would be useless as everyday weapons. So I wave my hand and steer every strand of karma, bound for me and the artifacts, into the new world instead. The moment it lands, the heavenly Tao refines it, and the world expands wildly. It leaps from a grotto heaven world up to a small world, a middle world, and a great world, then slows to a stop as the golden light runs dry. The 3,000 great Tao laws perfect themselves with every step, one law after another emerging clear and whole. The eye of the heavenly Tao drops the last of its karma and fades quietly back into the void realm. Seeing it gone and the new world already a great world, I feel both startled and pleased. It did not appear in the boundless chaos sea, but becoming a subordinate world of the multiverse serves me more than it costs me. I already have 129,600 worlds in the boundless chaos sea inside my body, so one more or one less there changes nothing. Becoming a subordinate world of the multiverse, on the other hand, brings real benefits. As its creator god, I can copy its great Tao laws whole into my inner world, speeding the perfection of my own laws with no side effects. On top of that, I now count as a small shareholder in this multiverse. Though the share is negligible, it lets me comprehend the multiverse's great Tao laws, which will serve my cultivation down the road. From overworked wage slave to shareholder of a universe, my old boss would weep. The new world's diameter has swelled to 1,000 light-years, and in its living half a single vast continent stretches across the center, ringed by a boundless ocean. It is still at the dawn of creation, everything unborn, utterly desolate, nothing but rushing rivers, bare land and scattered rock as far as I can see, without a single living thing. Beyond it lies endless void realm, choked with void turbulence woven from every kind of violent energy, and now and then, some undestroyed object drifts past on the current. The void turbulence is weaker than chaos chi but still terrifying, and if I appeared in it, the force would likely tear me to shreds before I could last long. It keeps battering the crystal wall of the new world, only to be swallowed and refined into fresh energy inside. Far off in the void realm, stars twinkle now and then, and I guess they are light from other worlds of the multiverse. If the chance ever comes, I mean to go see their cultivation cultures and great Tao laws for myself. Turning to the heavenly Tao space, I find only a thin scatter of world origin, though it climbs steadily as time passes. On the heart of the heavenly Tao, infinite great Tao runes shine without pause. The 3,000 great Tao laws pour out of it, weaving a net that keeps the whole new world in order. I compare the new world's time flow against the Changnan realm, and find them identical. At a crawl like that, I have no idea how long the world will take to truly develop, and I fear I could reach the highest realm before life is even conceived. So I merge with the world and, without harming its foundation, push its time flow to a maximum of 10,000 times, since any faster would cripple its potential. Then I look at it and declare that this world shall be named Hyonil. As the creator god of the Hyonil world, my word carries the authority of heaven, and reality obeys the moment I speak. The world shudders, and the name Hyonil, written in the script of the great Tao, blazes above it, brilliance pouring in every direction. When the celestial display fades, my heart stirs, and I copy all of the Hyonil world's great Tao laws into my inner world. The Hyonil world stands at great world rank now, and in many ways its 3,000 great Tao laws have already outstripped my inner worlds. So when the copies arrive, my inner world's laws drink them in and swiftly perfect themselves. By now, my inner world's area has reached the ceiling of a grotto heaven world, and the world origin in its heavenly Tao space has pooled into a vast ocean. The moment for it to advance to a small world has come. I wait for it to digest the Hyonil world's 3,000 great Tao laws, and with a deep resonant note it expands again. The world origin pours out and transforms into materials that fill the newly opened space. As the world inflates, the chaos heavenly cycle star formation erupts with suppression and refining power, grinding chaos chi into world origin and other energies without pause. It feeds the growth until the world origin runs dry and the expansion stops. Then a surging force of the world gushes out of my inner world, washing over my physical body and soul, and shoving my cultivation toward a breakthrough. I was careless, and I did not expect the world's advancement to feed back a tide this strong. The trouble is the cultivation technique for the next realm is not perfected yet, so this is a terrible moment to break through. I react fast, linking my divine sense to the subsystem computing power matrix to deduce a way out before the momentum runs away from me. Right as the breakthrough threatens to slip loose, I land on a solution. To ride the force of the world through a nirvana transformation. That would let me digest the force and, at the same time, raise my aptitude, my comprehension ability, and the strength of my physical body. I fire up the newly built Nirvana creation art and guide the force flowing along its paths, scouring my physical body and soul clean. The force wraps around me and hardens into a cocoon bright with great Tao runes. Inside it feels like a whole heaven of worlds gestating. 3,000 great Tao laws and chaos-colored light braiding and flashing. Countless world phantoms shifting in the depths. Within the cocoon, I shrink slowly into the shape of an infant, as if returned to the womb for innate gestation and nirvana sublimation. In Jungnung City, a heaven-shaking battle rages at the Temple of Light. Baek Chanshan stands robed in white, wrapped in black-red killing light like an Asura goddess, raining down attack after attack, until Temple Master Wei Hua cannot fight back. He spits blood and demands, horrified, to know who she is and why she assaults his temple. She answers coldly that the Temple of Light commits countless evils and preys on the common people, a tumor of the divine kingdom that must be cut out. She acts now, she says, on behalf of heaven to cut it. Her attacks never slow. Even losing, Wei Hua keeps his arrogance, sneering that the Temple of Light are the messengers of God, meant to rule the divine kingdom. The ant-like commoners, he says, should offer their power of faith obediently. The killing intent in Baek Chanshan's eyes only sharpens. She says her big brother was right, that they are nothing but a nest of cultists, a tumor to be swept away. She also vows that one day she will kill their so-called God of Light too, avenging every innocent life he has ruined. Wei Hua roars that she blasphemes his God, that she is only at the golden core equivalent, and dies today. He draws the power of faith from the statue to raise a phantom of the God of Light behind him. Baek Cheonchan snorts, unimpressed, and tells him to go to hell. She looses a brilliant divine light, endless killing intent, hidden in its magnificent radiance, and even with his trump card unleashed, Wei Hua is beaten down until he has nothing left. He barely manages a final scream before his body and soul are destroyed together. Then she looks at the statue of the God of Light and punches it to powder. She tells it that today she shatters one of its idols and one of its temples, and that in the future, she will hunt down and kill its true form. In the secret room of the Purple Star City Temple of Light, the cocoon around me cracks open and dissolves into world origin that my body drinks back in. I stretch and stand, feeling the power surging through my physical body. I have not broken through to a higher realm, yet my strength has changed beyond all recognition. And compared to my pre-nirvana self, I could now beat two of the old me at once. Better still, my aptitude and comprehension ability have both improved, and my mastery of the space-time realm has reached 85%, not far from complete control. I send my divine sense into my Dantean world and find its territory expanded to 400 light-years. Still desolate. No living beings born yet. Rich in its spiritual energy has condensed into in its spiritual liquid scattered across the world, and the netherworld has widened with it. Its diameter now 100 light-years even if it still trails the living world. The 3,000 great Tao laws grow more perfect by the day, no less refined than the Hyunil worlds. Only the shortage of accumulated world origin keeps it from advancing straight to a middle world. I sweep through my other inner worlds and find them all in much the same state. I move my divine sense into the Hyunil world again. Only 3,000 years have passed here under 10,000 times acceleration. Too short for major change, though the world has grown steadier and has banked a fair store of world origin. I point, and the myriad stars in its starspace project outward, and I guide the stored world origin out to raise a chaos heavenly cycle star formation. This formation refines void turbulence, lifts energy conversion efficiency, and guards against enemies out of the void realm. The instant the formation takes shape, it erupts with suppression and refining power. The once violent void turbulence goes calm and feeds steadily into world origin, innate spiritual energy, and other energies. I watch a while and confirm it runs cleanly, refining void turbulence even more efficiently than raw chaos chi. That is no shock, since chaos chi sits several energy levels higher and is that much harder to refine. Then I look at the Hyunil world and reconsider. I had meant to turn this world itself into a game world to burn off the system's negative energy, but I never expected the Grotto Heaven to catch the multiverse's golden karma and jump straight to a great world. Spending a great world as a mere game world would be a waste, so it is better to open a fresh world inside the Hyunil world, and let that one be the game. I step into the star space, drive the heavenly Tao, and a star below twists and evolves into a Grotto Heaven world, a lower world of the Hyunil world. Its layout mirrors the Hyunil Great World, a vast continent ringed by endless ocean with a star space overhead, missing only the netherworld. I step into the freshly made world, bring out the origin system, and rip all the accumulated negative energy out of the system with a grab. Then I work the Heavenly Tao's authority and fire the law of creation, and the pitch-black negative energy condenses into form. It becomes two-headed giant bulls, one-legged monster sheep, and other strange beasts that rain down thick across the newborn land. The instant billions of them touch ground, they roar at the sky and scatter, and for a moment the whole world is a riot of dancing demons. I glance again at the negative energy breeding fast on the origin system, my eyes still. The number of beings bound to the system has reached several trillion. Off a base that huge, the negative energy born every instant is enormous, which is exactly why I am in such a hurry to solve it. I form seals and bind the origin system to this grotto heaven world, so the negative energy the system breeds forever flows in and evolves endlessly into new monsters. Then I raise a finger, a spiritual light flickers, and a three-headed wolf monster dies on the spot, its body scattering into energy that the world's mechanism transforms into a wisp of pure soul power. I catch the soul power and study it, and it is exquisitely pure, no worse than what I refine myself. I cut down a few dozen more fleeing monsters, and every strand of soul power comes out just as clean. I nod, satisfied, because this special world, my monster game world, closes the loop perfectly. Negative energy becoming monsters, and killing monsters becoming soul power. The monsters cover barely 1/10,000th of the continent for now, and it will be a while before they fill it. That gives me just enough time to push the fairness system up to version 7.0. I wipe every trace of myself from the Hyana world and the monster game world, then pull my divine sense out, though I do not leave seclusion. I shut my eyes, link to the subsystem computing power matrix, and deduce version 7.0. Time drifts, I open my eyes, and the 3,000 great Tao laws appear between my palms, braiding and reweaving until version 7.0 takes shape. Everything runs stronger now, the encryption and anti-cracking deeper, a soul power value added to the profile, and the monster game world's icon set into the system interface. A host only has to touch the monster world icon with their divine sense, and the system guides a wisp of that divine sense inside, where they earn soul power by killing monsters. Each kill splits the soul power three ways: 30% to me, 40% to the monster game world, and 30% to the host. The world takes its share because it must have soul power to keep running, and pure output with no input would weaken it steadily and eventually collapse it. If a host dies in there, they lose only a wisp of divine sense, which recovers after a day or two of rest. The great Tao insights carried in that divine sense, though, are absorbed by the world as nourishment, a dungeon that pays you to grind it and pays me either way. I would have sold my soul for a job like this. I take out the origin system version 6.0 and fold it into version 7.0 with a wave, the fusion done in an instant. Then I push a system update notice to every host, rise, and walk slowly out of the secret room. The moment Han Myung finishes updating to version 7.0, his eyes catch the new monster game world icon, and curiosity floods him. His divine sense settles on it, and a line of text rises. It tells him the monster game world is under monster invasion, that brave warriors are needed to enter, slay the monsters, and save the world. Slaying monsters, it adds, earns soul power gifted by the world, which nourishes the soul and strengthens the primordial spirit. His eyes light up, and he thinks that soul power is a genuine cultivation treasure. Bored lately, he realizes he can amuse himself in there and grow stronger at the same time. Two birds with one stone. The thought has barely formed before he stands in a novice village of the monster game world. He looks around at a barren scene, the scorching sun high overhead, monster roars drifting in from time to time. He touches himself, and the feel is exactly like his real body, his clothes identical to the outside, his cultivation unchanged. Amazed, he squats, grabs a handful of soil, and on impulse tastes it, then spits it out at once, marveling that it is far too realistic, nothing like a game, exactly like the real world. Either way, he tells himself, real or not, he ought to go slay monsters and earn soul power first. Across the continent's other 10,000 novice villages, system hosts appear, one after another, all as curious as Han Myung. And soon they stride out to hunt. Not far past the village, Han Myung meets a monster shaped like a wild boar, a sharp single horn on its head, and two thick tusks jutting out. He laughs at his luck, sure that his late-stage divine sea realm strength will make short work of it. The boar spots him, roars, and charges, but he stays calm, erupts with his full aura, and blasts it away with one punch, crowing that monsters are nothing at all. He chases it down with his movement technique and, after a fierce scramble, kills it and it dissolves into energy that scatters into the world. He opens his profile and sees his soul power value climb from 0 to 3, and his eyes light up. He does not know exactly how soul power strengthens the soul, but if the system says it does, it must. He hurries on, and about a kilometer later he finds a monster shaped like a rooster strolling along. Small and unbothered, he mocks it, calls himself its executioner, and rushes in with his movement technique. But the rooster monster spreads its wings and pounces fast as lightning. A single flash blinds him. The world spins and goes black, and his consciousness snaps back to the outside world. Rattled, he decides the thing must have hit the Dao Sieg realm, since he had no power to resist it at all. He rubs his aching head and reckons he lost a wisp of divine sense that should take 2 days to recover. Then he remembers that soul power is supposed to strengthen the soul, and wonders if it can restore divine sense too. He tries it, and a warm current wraps his soul, and the instant the warmth fades, his lost divine sense is whole again. Delighted, he realizes soul power really does restore divine sense, and that his soul feels a touch stronger, which means steady monster killing will grow his soul fast, and even dying only feeds that growth. He dives back into the monster game world, thrilled. The same scene plays out among countless hosts. Back in seclusion, I watch version 7.0, and the monster game world run without a hitch and let myself relax. Then I open the forum and find the monster game world already at the top of the popularity list, so I read the comments to gauge how the hosts are taking it. The feed is a wave of astonishment and greed. Odd voices swear the monster world is indistinguishable from reality, every one of the 5 senses intact, a half day inside costing only a few breaths outside. One host boasts that a monster killed him the instant they met, and warns that the beasts turn savage once night falls. Beneath the wonder runs a hungry, grateful hum. Host after host calling soul power scarcer than energy points, a fresh way for ordinary people to earn a living. One of them says that ever since the system came, he went from merely eating dirt to white rice at every meal. A quieter thread frets that the game is too hard for low cultivators and that easy money only reaches the strong. It notes that the Dao Seed realm is about to flood, and Divine Sea realm experts are everywhere. And through all of it, one name keeps surfacing. Someone insists Yu Il is simply invincible, first on the Dao Seed realm combat power ranking, a man who slew spirit transformation realm experts while still in the Dao Seed realm. Others wonder aloud whether the pure void sect has finally killed him off, since he has not shown himself in so long. As I read, a sense of having truly changed the world rises in me. Then my face cools, a hard light in my eyes, and I murmur the name Pure Void Sect under my breath. My gaze freezes, snaps to a point outside the temple, and surprise runs through me as I wonder why she is here. At the sound of my voice, Baek Qianchan shudders, the killing intent draining from her eyes, surprise taking its place. She hurries toward where the voice came from and finds Little Yellow and me lounging on rocking chairs just like old times. She asks why we are here, calling me Big Brother and greeting Little Yellow. I look at her and see how she has grown into a graceful young woman, ethereal, radiating immortal chi like a fairy, though beneath that immortal chi I still catch the hidden aura of slaughter. I tell her I am in the temple researching a technique to purify the power of faith, and I invite her to sit and talk. With a wave, I bring out a tea table from my storage space and brew her a cup of spirit tea. The leaves ordinary, but the water innate spirit water. Little Yellow exclaims that she has changed so much he almost did not recognize her, and asks what brought her to the Purple Star City Temple of Light today. She sips the tea, a gentle energy washing through her, and laughs that Little Yellow has not changed at all, admitting she came meaning to destroy this temple and never expected to find us here. Little Yellow blurts that Master took control of everyone in this temple long ago. Then it dawns on him that if she dared come to raise a temple, her cultivation must be high. His eyes go wide as he asks whether she has reached the Dao Seed realm, marveling at her speed and worrying aloud whether a foundation built that fast can hold. I slap him on his dog head and tell him he is the one who never cultivates properly. All play and laziness. Baek Cheonchan, meanwhile, has already reached the middle stage of the Dao Seed realm and will pass him before long. The Child of Destiny really does earn the title. A few short years, middle stage of the Dao Seed realm, a foundation solid as bedrock. Heaven is practically spoon-feeding her fortune. Little Yellow yelps and protests that his own speed is nothing to sneeze at, and that he has reached the peak of the Dao Seed realm. Not everyone, he adds, can be a monster like Baek Cheonchan and me. Then he mutters that he is only a dog, so surely it is natural he cannot keep up. His sophistry makes my hand itch, and I cuff him again, asking how with the cultivation conditions I have handed him. He has the nerve to talk back. Watching us bicker, Baek Cheonchan can only smile, and for a moment, it is as if she has drifted back into the past. She asks me to forgive Little Yellow, explaining she only cultivated this fast because she stumbled into a few opportunities by chance. I set aside the urge to discipline Little Yellow and ask whether the 6 temples of light destroyed lately were her work. She says yes and sips her tea, her tone offhand. After we parted, she tells me she happened on a spirit medicine, only to be spotted by a temple of light cultivator who tried to seize it by force. She killed a few of them in answer and was hunted ever after. Later, by chance, she ran into more opportunities and escaped, and she has only just left seclusion and wiped out the ones chasing her. My mouth twitches as I listen. Isn't this the textbook protagonist script? Hunted down, stumbles into an opportunity, cultivation skyrockets, comes back and slaughters the enemy. The child of destiny really does come with a trouble magnet constitution, dragging chaos along wherever she walks. And where exactly is my transmigrator's protagonist treatment, the kind the novels promise? At the start, I nearly died running out of lifespan, and afterward I only scraped through by gambling my life, without so much as the shadow of an opportunity. Now hunted by both the Pure Void sect and the Temple of Light, all I can do is hide, with none of a transmigrator's swagger to show for it. Set beside her, it is enough to give a man an inferiority complex. I gather myself and warn her, in earnest, to be far more careful from here on. A few years back, I destroyed a dozen temples and got hunted by a void-returning realm cultivator, and now she has leveled 6, and is surely already marked. Stronger enemies will come for her next, I tell her. And worse, the Temple of Light will likely mistake her for me, and send even deadlier experts to run her down. So she should lie low for a while, because otherwise it is far too dangerous, and it is all too easy to drown in a shallow ditch. She nods gravely and says she understands. If the Temple of Light really does confuse her for me, the danger is real, because the experts hunting me would tear her apart, seeing that she genuinely takes the warning to heart. I nod, satisfied. At least Baek Chan is not like those arrogant chosen one protagonists who refuse to hear a word of advice. I ask whether the great Tao law she has comprehended is the great Tao of slaughter. She confirms it, saying she grasped it by chance while being hunted. I tell her plainly that her aptitude and comprehension ability are excellent, then change the subject to warn her carefully, because for all its power, the great Tao of slaughter must be handled with caution. She has to guard her original heart and never sink too deep into slaughter, where she risks becoming a puppet that knows only killing. The great Tao of slaughter is not only destruction, I add, because a glimmer of life and hope hides inside its endless killing, and one kills for the sake of protecting life. She nods and nods, thoughtful. Learning she has comprehended the great Tao of slaughter, Little Yellow gapes in amazement. Back in his own day, he refined more than 20 devouring law crystals before he could barely touch a trace of the great Tao laws of devouring. Without them, he might never have brushed the edge of the great Tao of devouring at all. He praises her, saying she already carries a bit of master's bearing, and the compliment ripples a smile across her face. She has read of my exploits on the system's social platform after all. I have held first place on the Trial Tower Tao Seed Realm Combat Power Ranking for years, while she only cleared the Trial Tower days ago, and sits at 503rd. The gap of 502 places sounds like nothing beside the true golf in combat power. I am a peerless prodigy who can kill an Ascent Soul Stage cultivator while in the Tao Seed Realm, so carrying even a trace of my bearing is already a lavish compliment. She smiles modestly and says she would never dare compare herself to her big brother, that she is still far behind. Then she turns the praise on Little Yellow, reminding him he comprehended the great Tao of devouring himself. At that, Little Yellow's eyes narrow to slits and his whole face beams, his tail shooting straight up toward the sky. Smug beyond measure, I shake my head and tell her to stop praising him, or his tail will climb higher than the roof. She covers her mouth and laughs, and right now she is as gentle as any girl next door, without a trace of the cold Asura-like killer she becomes outside. Baek Qianchan stays in the temple 3 months before leaving, meaning to keep traveling and cultivating to push her strength higher. I stand before the main hall and look up at the statue of the God of Light, a meaningful smile at my mouth. I tell it that the big gift I prepared is ready, and it had better catch it firmly. I bring out a great mass of ink-black negative energy. Over these years, while researching the technique to purify the power of faith, I carefully saved every wisp that escaped the burning. This hoard is extraordinarily pure, pure enough that an ordinary man absorbing even a little would lose his mind and go mad on the spot. This is precisely the grand gift I prepared for the God of Light. Light flickers around my hand, and the pitch-black mass swirls and shifts until it turns a milky white indistinguishable from real power of faith. A sharp glint enters my eyes as I pour mind power into the mass, warping perception further so it looks even more like genuine power of faith. By my experiments, this also cancels part of the burning purification, though I do not yet know how strong the offset will be against the God of Light's own technique. Still, by my calculations, even if it cannot fully cancel the purification, it should at least blunt most of it. Mind power belongs to the Tao of idealism, profound beyond measure, able to twist another's cognition at the very root. I have dug deep into it these years, and in theory, mind power holds infinite possibility. A will strong enough to bear the power can turn the impossible possible, truly reaching a state where anything can be done. A wicked smile curls my mouth as I tell the God of Light not to thank me, and I toss the mass toward the statue. It sinks silently into the power of faith gathered there, blending in seamlessly, and then rides the faith channel away and vanishes from the statue. Consider it a loyalty bonus from your favorite worshiper. In the Jin Kingdom, the martial arena of the Jin family, a cultivator family, is packed for the day the clan's young generation spars for the title of saint. The winner will represent the Jin family in the world. Jin Jai stares at the stage, his eyes burning, his face full of confidence. After years of grinding cultivation, his artifact cultivation system has reached the early stage of the artifact body realm, equal to the early stage of the golden core realm in the immortal cultivation system. He had meant to keep secluding himself, but further cultivation demanded massive resources, and as a collateral descendant of mediocre aptitude, his allotment was thin, so he ended seclusion early to seek other opportunities. He never expected to walk straight into the clan's selection for its saint, and the timing thrills him, because first place would win him the family's core cultivation and end his resource troubles for good. Though his cultivation only equals the early stage of the golden core realm, he is a man who survived the heavenly tribulation in a past life. His combat experience and his grasp of the great Tao laws tower over his peers, and he has full confidence in taking the saint's seat. Nearby, a few Jin family descendants sigh that the competition is a formality, that they have no chance, that the number one of the young generation is surely Jin Biome. One of them notes that Jin Biome has a fire spiritual root and already stands at the peak Golden Core realm, ranked 823rd on the Trial Tower Golden Core realm combat power ranking. He has comprehended the law of fire and upgraded his 7-pattern Golden Core to an 8-pattern Golden Core. Word is he can break through to the Nascent Soul realm whenever he likes, and is only polishing himself, aiming to push his 8-pattern Golden Core to a 9-pattern Golden Core. Another sighs that with the system's help, Jin Biome might really form a 9-pattern Golden Core. Then laments that they have too few energy points. With more, they too could buy an artificial heavenly spirit root like Jin Rin, who already ranks 1093rd on the same board, and might one day contend with Jin Biome. They call themselves truly poor. Once the competition ends, they resolve to go spread the system elsewhere and earn energy points, since saving enough might yet give them a shot at surpassing Jin Biome. They marvel that even those of mediocre aptitude finally have a chance to defy fate. Jin Jade frowns as he listens, his mind clouding with confusion. System: Trial Tower, Combat Power Ranking, Artificial Heavenly Spirit Root, Energy Points. The unfamiliar terms leave him wholly baffled. Only when he hears that the competition is a formality in first place, surely goes to Jin Biome does his mouth curl in disdain. He grants that comprehending the law of fire at the Golden Core realm makes Jin Biome a genius, not much below his own past life peers. But times have changed, and this life he has built an unshakable foundation and comprehended the law of space, one of the mightiest great Tao laws. Even with the gap in raw cultivation, his rich combat experience and the power of the great Tao of space would make crushing a mere Jin Biome easy. Just then the Jin family clan chief, Jin Peng, stands and calls out that today is the young generation's martial grand meeting. The winner becomes the saint and receives the family's full cultivation, he declares. And the competition begins now. As his voice fades, the arena falls silent, no descendant willing to be first onto the stage, though no one looks surprised, as if they all expected it. Jin Jae sweeps his eyes over them, contempt flickering, thinking them a pack of cowards without the nerve to step up. He flashes onto the stage, steady his gaze crossing the crowd, and announces that he is Jin Jae and would gladly learn from everyone's brilliant techniques. His sudden appearance stuns the arena, no one having expected anyone to dare go up. A hum of whispers rises, some asking who this Jin Jae even is, doubting a collateral descendant no one has heard of could hold Golden Core realm cultivation. Others guess he just left seclusion and never bound the system, with no idea how the world has changed, and wonder how many moves he can last against Jinbo before being knocked flat. Jin Rin flashes onto the stage, his gaze fixed on Jin Zhou. He says he had meant to challenge Jin Biome and did not expect Jin Zhou to jump up first. This farce should end, he adds, and Jin Zhou had better step down himself or be knocked off. Jin Jae curls his lip in disdain, his eyes full of arrogance, scoffing that Jin Rin is not worthy to defeat him, and that today he will show his prowess. The moment he finishes, the sixth elder of the Jin family in the stands raises a hand and forms a seal, and a dazzling light seals the stage inside a light barrier. Under the formation, the stage's space quietly widens into room enough for Golden Core Realm cultivators to fight at full strength. Then the word comes that the competition begins. Jin Jae's aura erupts. He throws a punch of savage momentum, the overbearing fist force compressing the air into a piercing screech. Seeing him blaze with Golden Core Realm aura, Jin Rin notes the strike is truly extraordinary. He remarks that no wonder Jin Jae dared enter, since he cultivates the Dao Seed martial arts cultivation system and has reached the farce over. He shouts the name of his technique and sends a towering inferno carrying the might to burn heavens and boil seas, slamming toward Jin Jae. Jin Jae only sneers that what he cultivates is no Dao Seed martial arts cultivation system, and before the words fade, he punches the raging flames out. Jin Rin's expression shifts, turning grave, and he draws a low-grade spiritual artifact sword and attacks. Their battle erupts, fist force colliding with sword chi again and again. As they trade blows, both grow more alarmed, neither having expected such strength from the other, each sensing the other has grasped great Dao laws. Jin Jae is inwardly shaken, thinking Jin Rin far too strong, his combat experience deep, his law of fire the twin of Jin Biome's. He wonders whether this world truly holds so many geniuses that one small clan boasts both Jin Rin and a Jin Biome said to be stronger still. The two exchange blows like madmen, the violent energy of their collisions hammering the light barrier. Then a thunderous impact sends Jin Rin flying, blood on his lips, and he retreats 5 steps before steadying himself. He looks at Jin Jae with uncertainty and bitterness, and concedes the loss, saying he never expected such power, and hoping Jin Jae can last a few more moves against Jin Biome. A confident smile rises on Jin Jae's face, and he declares he will beat Jin Biome too, that among this younger generation no one is his match. Jin Rin only shakes his head, says nothing more, and flashes off the stage. The arena erupts, voices stunned that Jin Jae actually won, puzzling that he cultivates the Dao Seed martial arts cultivation system yet denied it. Others marvel that even Jin Rin fell to him, and wonder whether he can overcome Jin Biome. Even Jin Peng and the Grand Elders in the seats cannot hide their surprise, and every eye turns to Jin Biome for his reaction. A grave look settles over Jin Biome as he leaps onto the stage, telling Jin Jae he has hidden himself well, but will not be his match. Jin Jae answers with total confidence that in this world no one in the same realm can match him. Jin Biome's mouth twitches, because he once brimmed with the very same confidence, until binding the fairness system struck him down again and again till he nearly lost it. In the end, he grasped that there is always a higher sky, and always someone stronger, and from then on, he grew humble and steady, and his strength surged. He tells Jin Jae he is fearless only because he is ignorant of the world's vastness, and asks if Jin Jae thinks he is Yu Il. Curiosity crosses Jin Jae's face as he asks who Yu Il is, saying he would actually like to test the man's strength. Jin Biome studies his eager look and says he truly cannot fathom where the confidence comes from. If Jin Jae's strength is only what he just showed, he adds, Yu Il could crush him with a single finger. Jin Jae refuses to believe it, insisting no one in the same realm is his match. In his past life, he swept a realm unbeaten, and this life his foundation is firmer and his strength greater, so he cannot accept that anyone could defeat him at the same level. Jin Biome shakes his head, hoping the coming blows will not shatter Jin Jae's Dao heart, and invites him to show what weight he truly carries behind all that arrogance. He draws a medium-grade spiritual artifact sword and strikes with full force. No probing at all, a beam of sword chi tearing sky and earth toward Jin Jae. Seeing the ferocity of it, Jin Jae turns grave, his peerless treasure body erupting with terrifying aura as he clenches a fist and slams it into the sword chi. The force drives him back a step and opens a sword mark on his hand. The two roar and clash like lightning, fist against spiritual sword exploding like thunder from the 9 heavens. And as the fight drags on, the grimness deepens on Jin Jae's face, victory refusing to come. He turns ruthless and gambles on space teleportation, appearing behind Jin Biome. Using space teleportation mid-battle risks being shredded by spatial turbulence, but he no longer cares. Not with the win on the line. Hardened by the trial tower and the monster game world, Jin Biome is long used to combat and reacts instantly, slashing behind him. Yet in his haste, Jinjae's punch still sends him flying, blood spraying from his mouth. He concedes, saying he did not expect Jinjae to have grasped the law of space, but that Jinjae is still nowhere near Yu-Il, and that many in this world far outstrip him. Jinjae refuses to believe Yu-Il is truly so strong, or that many surpass him, and his face stays full of confidence. A strange look crosses Jin Biome's face, and he asks, suspicious, whether Jinjae has really never bound a system. Jinjae frowns and retorts that he does not know what a system is, that he heard others mention it only moments ago. Understanding dawns on Jin Biome, because that explains the overflowing confidence, a man who has never yet tasted the system's beatings. He exchanges for a system seed and tosses it over, telling Jinjae to bind it and see for himself. Jinjae takes it, hesitates, then binds it, and shock floods his face. He cries out at the miracle of it, a heaven-defying divine object, rattling off the Enlightenment space, the trial tower, the mall, the monster game world, and the video channel. Watching him reel, Jin Biome shakes his head and walks off the stage. Losing to Jin Biome has lost many times, and knows well how many stand above him, so his heart stays steady. He is only curious what face Jinjae will make once he learns Yu-Il's true strength. Below the stage, the Jin clan watches the sudden unknown defeat their favored son. Disbelief everywhere. One voice cannot believe Jinjae beat Jin Biome. Another allows that he grasped the law of space and so earned the win, even if Jin Biome was caught off guard, since a loss is a loss. A third scoffs that Jinjae is far too arrogant to claim he is invincible in his realm, since among current hosts at least 800 stand stronger than Jin Biome at the same level. And that says nothing of monsters like Yu-Il, who kills spirit transformation realm experts while in the Dao Seed realm.